Happy Thursday afternoon, Saskatchewan. I'm Dave Thomas, filling in for Barney Shankaruk this afternoon and Tegan Whitko. Yes, you're stuck with me for 3 hours of football talk, hockey talk, and a little bit of test your knowledge talk. It's all on the way in the SportsCage, the home of local sports in Saskatchewan. Of course, proud to stream online at sportscage.com and, of course, across the airwaves at 620 CKRM, or head to our website. And, of course, you can log on and stream there. It's going to be a busy show. We're here at the Connexus Arts Center. The Vanier Cup is in town. I don't know if you can see it. It's just kind of over there by the Christmas tree. But if you're watching on the radio, I hope you weren't straining your neck. Trust me, I'll get better at this. But the Vanier Cup is in Regina and will be handed out on Saturday afternoon at Mosaic Stadium. The teams have both arrived as well. The University of Saskatchewan Huskies will represent the West. And then from the East, it is the Université de Montréal. And boy, is it going to be a matchup. The two teams, they faced the media this morning, and one interesting comment came out of it was the Montreal team. They are fully... Well, I wouldn't say fully, but I will say that there is a chip on their shoulder, and they want retribution for what the Roughriders did to the Ouellettes in Winnipeg back on Sunday. We'll get to that story coming up in a little bit. Now, also, special guest co-host will be joining us a little bit later on. We're going to have Trevor Harris and AJ Ouellette here on this Thursday edition. And when they come in, of course, they're going to be joining us, and we want to hear from you, Rider Nation. If there's a question or a comment that you want to make, we're going to get to them answering those questions for you. You can factor in on the Prairieland Rentals text line at 306-936-6262. Again, whatever you need to rent to get the job done, Prairieland Rentals probably has it. Also, an official Husqvarna snow thrower dealer. Deal with the owner at 600 Albert Street. That is Prairieland Rentals and the text line. So again, you want to ask a question of Trevor Harris or AJ Ouellette? That's the way you can do it, and we'll get to as many of those as we possibly can coming up a little bit later on. Also, as I mentioned, we will talk Vanier Cup. Charlie Parks is a Regina native that plays for the University of Saskatchewan Huskies. Talk about a story of resilience. This young man felt something wasn't right last season, so he decided he was going to play through it and try to persevere throughout the summer months. It led to him getting back surgery prior to the start of last year. He's made a full recovery, and he's turning heads now in the Canadian Football League. We'll tell you why as we preview this weekend's matchup between Montreal and Saskatchewan. Also, we'll get you the insight on the Heck Crichton Trophy. And hockey fans, don't worry. The Regina Pats kicked off their Western Hockey League U.S. Division road trip last night. It was an interesting game as they fell early, but these boys kept battling back and suffered their 11th one-goal defeat of the season. Now, they've been involved in 11 one-goal games, I should clarify, but 3-2 was the outcome last night in Spokane, and you have to kind of give the West Division teams, or I guess the East Division teams, when they head west to take on, for example, teams like Spokane. When you start that trip, you've gone ahead and gone almost halfway across the country on a bus. Yes, the Pats did work out the day prior, got some of those bus legs out. But again, it's such a tough haul. But anyways, 3-2, the final score in Spokane, a very tough Spokane team. We're going to hear from the Pats as they are, again, out on the road and plan to play their second game tomorrow night in Tri-City. It's a solid plan against the Americans. And again, we will get to that. So talking Pats, Benny Walchuk will come in with the SJHL report. Of course, we'll also hear from members of the Saskatchewan Huskies and AJ Ouellette and Trevor Harris. It's going to be a busy next 3 hours. So thanks for taking some time. And again, weigh in anytime on that text line at 306-936-6262. It also could make you a winner on a Thursday. What do I say? Well, we've got the brand new SJHL SportsCage hats. And we're going to put folks that text us in with a question for AJ or Trevor, we're going to put you into that draw for that. You can even call us with your question if you want. Again, 306-936-6262. Or you can weigh in on our trivia question today. How well do you know football in Canada? The question, the last time the Vanier Cup winning team from Saskatchewan won the Vanier Cup, 3 of their players went on to win a Grey Cup. Yeah, 3 good Saskatchewan kids. One was the current head coach of the Saskatchewan Huskies, Scott Flory. Of course, he won a couple of cups with the Montreal Alouettes. Warren Musica, good Saskatoon boy. Warren, of course, would go on, and boy, he thought that he thought he had the tiger by the tail in all reality, right? Because he wins a Vanier Cup in 1998, and then the next year he wins a Grey Cup with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Who would have ever thought that the Tiger Cats would not win a Grey Cup after that game? Maybe it's the Musica curse or something. I'll ponder on that. The question, though, is who's the third player? Again, Saskatchewan ties, wins a Vanier Cup with, yes, the Saskatchewan Huskies, goes on to win a Grey Cup. Won multiple Grey Cups, as a matter of fact. Oh, and it's a frequent guest here on the Sports Cage. Do you know who? Text us on the text line at 306-936-6262. Also, a lot happening in the world of hockey and the NHL. The Edmonton Oilers. I don't know what's going on with the Edmonton Oilers. They have not won a game in regulation in almost a month. That's 9 games. Last night they got spanked in Washington. Tonight they take their show on the road. We find out how they do. Calgary Flames. Eric Francis, by the way, is going to join us tomorrow on the Sports Cage. But the Calgary Flames, they seem to be hit and miss. Last night they looked like a team that, could do something. But then they are dead last in the NHL, and as I was once told that even a blind squirrel has to find a nut once in a while. Is that the case? We're going to find out when it comes to the Calgary Flames later on. Full evening of action, of course, in the local hockey ponds. We'll get to that as well as much more. It is the Sports Cage on a Thursday. I'm Dave Thomas, and don't worry, Barney, we'll be back enjoying a holiday day, but we're here at the Connexus Arts Center where the USports Football Awards are going to be presented tonight just after 6 o'clock. It's going to be a big gala. They'll name the first and second team All-Stars, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and then, like I say, the Heck Crichton Award is going to be up for grabs, and a U of S Husky and Saskatchewan Roughrider draft pick is a finalist for that award. Daniel Wiebe. We'll see whether or not Daniel claims the trophy. It's been a long time since the Heck Crichton Trophy has sat in Saskatchewan or even in the Canada West as a whole. Daniel Wiebe is going to try to change that, and we'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit. For now, though, let's take our first break. It's 11 minutes after 3, beautiful sunny day across southern Saskatchewan, Saskatoon. Hopefully you're recovering from that dump of snow that you got to have. The Huskies told me they drove down on the bus and there wasn't any concern. So that's a good start, right? We'll get to more coming up in just a moment. Again, get your text and those guesses in on the Prairie Land Rentals text line. Again, 3 members of the last Vanier Cup winning team from Saskatchewan have also won Grey Cups. Scott Flory with Montreal, Warren Musica with Hamilton. And who is the third? We'll get to some of your thoughts coming up in a moment. This is the Sports Cage. We're streaming at sportscage.com and, of course, across the radio land at 620 CKRM. Well, Saskatchewan, we've come to talk and play, haven't we? It is a Thursday edition of the Sports Cage. I'm Dave Thomas, substituting for Tegan and Barney. Live from the Connexus Arts Center, getting set for the USports Football Awards Banquet that is coming up a little bit later this evening. It's all part of the Vanier Cup festivities that are on the go here in Regina. If you haven't done so yet, go ahead and Google Vanier Cup in Regina. You'll see all the great things that are going on, from a tailgate party that we're holding in the Sports Cage Lounge coming up on Saturday. Tomorrow, there's a big breakfast that's underway here in the Queen City, so lots going on as the excitement continues with football, and it doesn't happen to be of the Grey Cup variety. It's now the Vanier Cup variety for the next 72 hours, to say the very least. As I mentioned, you've come to talk and play on our Prairie Rental text line at 306-936-6262 to get to a couple of questions. First, a great question that has come in, and this is probably one of the best kept secrets, dare I say, in the Canadian Football League, wanting to know when the Coach of the Year award is going to be handed out in the Canadian Football League. Well, let's break it down. The finalists were Corey Mace and Jason Moss. Wouldn't it have made sense to hand them out during the CFL Awards a week ago from tonight? However, that's not the case. This year, the Canadian Football League has decided to change it up. I almost said they were going to move the goalposts on the award giving on that one, but I didn't know if I wanted to go down that road just yet. But they've changed it up, and the Coach of the Year is now going to be presented in the spring at the CFL Combine. Now, this year, that's going to be held in Edmonton in March, so Coach Mace and Jason Moss will have to wait until then. It's almost an interesting conversation, though, but because the votes were in. The votes have been tabulated. So for those of us that got and were fortunate enough to get a vote, we've already done so. But would your vote have swayed with the Montreal Alouettes and Saskatchewan Roughriders and the outcome. Again, in Rider Nation, I can't see that happening. But talking to some of my colleagues in Montreal, and I don't get this, so pardon me. I'm jumping around. To answer the question, no, the CFL Coach of the Year award has not been handed out yet. It will be handed out during the CFL Combine coming up in the spring. Interesting note, though. There's a lot of my colleagues and folks in Montreal that are some upset with Jason Moss calling for his head. They say he should be fired. Now, it's not going to happen. Of course, he signed a new contract, and I heard Sharkey and Barney talking about this very same thing yesterday. Jason Moss, why would you play a wounded quarterback? But if you feel he gives you your best chance to win, that's what you do. Week in and week out, we hear it here in Riderville, right? We're going to put out the best roster that we can to win a football game, and again, like it or lump it, Davis Alexander was the coach, was the question or the answer, if you will, in Montreal with the Alouettes. Again, take that for what you want it to be. So answering the Coach of the Year, an interesting answer to our question of Matt Kellett, and that is a great answer. Matt Kellett, of course, yes, but not the answer we were after. When it comes to University of Saskatchewan Huskies, 1998, Vanier Cup winning team, members of that team went on to win Grey Cups, and we're looking for the one, so not Kellett, not Flory, not Musica. We're looking for the one who has guested on this program numerous times and has got numerous Grey Cup titles to his name. Again, the Prairieland Rentals text line open at 306-936-6262. Okay, you've heard enough from me for now. Let's go ahead and get to the stars of the show. The Vanier Cup this weekend, of course, is going to feature the University of Montreal taking on the Saskatchewan Huskies, the Mitchell Bowl champions. And both teams arrived here in Regina earlier. Montreal arrived actually last night. The Saskatchewan Huskies drove down from Saskatoon earlier this morning. And when they arrived, I had an opportunity to catch up with someone that is very familiar to Mosaic Stadium. Yes, he has played a lot of games as being a member of the Holy Cross High School in Saskatoon, so he played provincial championships at Mosaic, but also was drafted by the Saskatchewan Huskies this last off-season. He went ahead and actually progressed throughout training camp and played a preseason game before returning back to the University of Saskatchewan for his fifth and final season with the Huskies. Linebacker Seth Hundeby. Seth Hundeby, back at Mosaic Stadium. Does it feel like home?
Relatively. I mean, like in a lot of places of Canada, it definitely is closer to home than not. Like I've played a lot of football games here, and it's in Saskatchewan, man, so it is pretty close to home.
We're going to talk about your season with the University of Saskatchewan Huskies in a moment, but you were saying earlier this morning, I was coming down the players' elevator. I knew exactly where I was going. When you were a member with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, was that special?
Yeah, it was really cool. I had the opportunity of seeing like some of the guys, like I saw Trevor Harris and Coach Mason, like super excited for those guys, and they were really awesome, wished us luck, and it was a super cool situation to be in.
A lot of the players on the Roughriders talked about how the family atmosphere and culture was built in Saskatoon during training camp. You were a part of that. You saw it come to life. Did you? Yes or no?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like I could feel it in those rooms. Like Coach Mace definitely like kicked it off with just like that family, and I felt like everyone bought into that. So it's really cool to see those guys go out there and kick some butt, take some names, and I'm so happy for those guys. You know, it's cool being a Riders fan to see them win, but to actually know some of them a little bit more personally and see them celebrate, I was so happy for those guys.
Did you find yourself watching games differently this year, understanding the concepts that the defense was trying to run?
Yeah, like I will say I watched still a little bit as a fan in that sense, but seeing like the guys more so. Like seeing Jameer Thurman make plays or AJ Allen, like knowing those guys a little bit more personally, or like even the fact that Trevor Harris called me after I got drafted, I'm like, man, that's so cool. Like I know that guy like better than a lot of people. So no, that made it really special to watch this season.
So then as the season progressed and AJ Allen starts to make his presence felt as a Canadian linebacker at a non-traditional Canadian starting spot, what did you see in that group of linebackers that you worked with as they all seemed to make that progression?
Man, that group of linebackers, I was a little nervous coming in, new group. I was curious to see what it was like at the professional level, but great group of guys, really helpful. Like really fun to spend like time with, and I was super grateful that I got the opportunity this May to spend as much time as I did. And yeah, once again, I can't say it enough. I'm super duper happy for those guys.
Seth Hundeby, when you were drafted, when you went through the combine process, you made it abundantly clear that you had something that you wanted to finish at the University of Saskatchewan, and your intention was to return to the Huskies and play this year. Are you still okay with that decision, knowing that the Roughrider team just won a Grey Cup?
Yeah, no, I thought about that, especially with them having as strong of a team, but no, I'm pretty happy with my decision. I think it's going to set me really up well in the future of just like having engineering, be able to finish that off, have it in my back pocket. Because as much as I love football, football doesn't always love me. And I know like it will say no at some point, as it does for every single player. So having engineering in the back pocket will be good. And I'm still playing football, making great memories, and having a lot of fun doing it.
All of that said, you were able to take a lot away, I would assume, from that Rough Rider training camp experience, being here for the preseason game. What did you take away?
Oh man, like even just getting to play at like the higher level, getting to talk to like Jameer Thurman, who has had like, I believe, more experience in the CFL than I have experience playing football. Just going into that situation, acting like a sponge, taking up every bit of information that I could, and then learning how to apply it to my game here. It was super duper helpful, and I'm so happy I got that opportunity.
And did you relay any of the things you learned to your teammates with the Huskies?
Oh yeah, no, 100%. We added a couple drills into like our linebacker indies, and like there was lots where like if I knew something or I felt like I had a bit of information, you know, kind of how some of those older guys did with me with like the Riders, I wanted to do with like the younger guys with like the Huskies. You know, just give as much information, make them as good of linebackers as they can be, and if they want to use it, they can or whatever. So I don't know, just be as positive on a mark on this facility as I can.
Let's fast forward to August then of this year, where your team meets for the first time. You go through the starts of training camp and start rolling towards the season. It starts with, may I suggest, a new old defense with Cody Halseth as the new defensive coordinator. How has anything changed, or how did it change and evolve from that point?
Yeah, no, it definitely was a bit of a change. Spending 5 years with Warren Musica, you get a little bit used to like what the pace is going to be. But I think Cody's done a really good job of kind of building in his new defense and like his mentality. And there was a couple conversations where things maybe weren't quite clicking in there in August, but then I feel like as a defense we really hit our stride and we're figuring things out. And he's a really good DC, smart, easy to approach and talk about things. So I think overall things have been going pretty well.
You roll into the regular season and week one happens. Describe what happens in week one.
Man, it was exciting. Like going to Alberta, we knew that they were going to be a good team, physical, and especially when you come to the Can West, it's just every game is going to be a good game. So it was fun to get to be in a new defense, play with some new guys, and just wear the S for one more time, man. Like that was my last week one, and just enjoyed it for what it was.
Have you looked, Seth Hundeby, at this season as a whole bunch of last times?
Honestly, like not as much. I'm kind of enjoying it for what it's worth and not really reminiscing on the past or like what it's going to end. I'm just enjoying everything for where my 2 feet are, having a great time, spending time with the guys. Yeah, you know, I just love playing football, love this organization, love the program.
Rough Riders' mantra is going 1-0 every week. Did you carry that over to this season of Canada West football?
Yeah, no, I feel like as Huskies, we kind of have a similar mantra just because, like, that's what you got to do. And especially you can't take any teams lightly, especially in the Can West. So going 1-0 it's huge. It's what you need to do. And especially once you get to playoffs, that's the most crucial thing every week.
You hit a bump on, if you will, a speed bump along the way, but then you right the ship with a victory over Regina to set yourselves up to finish first in Canada West. What was going right at that point in the season?
I think, you know, going in Can West, and like we had close games, and yeah, we did, as you say, like had a bump in the road, and I think that built a little bit of resiliency and a little bit of like, hey, like there's a reality in a place where we won't win games if we don't execute, and that just built kind of a group of guys who are like, all right, like let's look nose to the grindstone, keep playing, play after play, just gritty, like never count anyone out, and just keep playing.
I know you battled a bit of a nick. You were able to get back into the lineup after that, but you also were able to come up with a pick six and have some other key plays. You look back at your season as a whole in the regular season, are you satisfied?
Yeah, no, I'm overall I'm happy. Obviously, there's a couple plays I wish I could have back and whatnot, but overall, I'm just super grateful for the experiences that I've had with this team. It's a super special group, and I'm just happy to be a Husky.
Playoffs roll around, you get the win against UBC, then you come up against the University of Regina Rams in a rematch of the Hardy Cup, back on your turf again. How important was it to defend Griffith Stadium?
Man, playing at Griffiths, it's really big. I think Jaden Angle actually did the calculation. We're 27 wins, 3 losses there in our 5-year career, which kind of just shows like the drive to not want to lose at home. And a huge shout out goes to our fans and just like, I don't know, it's our house and like it feels really good to win there, and definitely gives you a little bit extra motivation.
When you're playing against the University of Regina Rams, a little added incentive in that game. Again, a rematch.
Yeah, no, they're definitely like our being another Saskatchewan team. They're our rivals. Know lots of them there, and like they're a good football team. They're well coached, got lots of athletes. So we knew it was going to be a good game, and yeah, it just boiled down to got to go 1-0 this week.
Mitchell Bowl, your last ever game at Griffith Stadium, a victory over Queens. Did you have that whole, well, this is my last game in Saskatoon creep in?
A little bit, yeah, especially after the game was done, you know, looking around. And I was just grateful for all the experiences, all the things that I got to do on Griffiths. I love playing on Griffiths, and I feel like it's going to be one of my favorite places to play for a very, very long time. So I'm just super grateful for all the experiences I've had.
Come into the Vanier Cup. This program has been here to the dance. They just haven't gone home with the trophy that they want. How do you change that this weekend?
Keep playing football. You know, if you just gotta, like, both teams that get here are good teams, and you know, you just hope for a good game and hope that you're going to be able to execute. And when in doubt, just keep playing football. One down after another, and yeah.
How big of a mental challenge is the last couple of weeks against a Queens team and now a Montreal team who you haven't seen all year long, except for what you have to trust that you see on film?
Honestly, it's a little exciting. You know, in Can West, you play the same 5 teams over and over, and I don't know how many times I've played Manitoba, but it's been a lot, especially when you include the preseason games. So new teams, it's fun. Watching film, it's a little bit more exciting. You're seeing new faces, you're seeing new body types. And yeah, I'm just excited that I got this group of guys who get to play one more game with.
You are a leader, a 5th year on this team. That comes inherently with time spent in the program, but also you can see it with what you do and the messages that you deliver to the younger players. Do you have anything special that you say this week to the younger guys?
Man, just be yourself. You know, I think a lot of people get caught up in, oh man, this is a big game. I got to do a little bit more. I got to push a little bit harder. It's another game of football. Like, the caliber that we practice at is what we should be playing at. You know, like, this isn't a time when you got to go like above and beyond. You just got to do your job, and when plays come, you just make them. You know, you're an athlete too. So, and when in doubt, have fun. Like, we're playing as Coach likes to say, the best game there ever was, will be, or something or other, something along those lines. But yeah, it's a magnificent game, and just appreciate that we get to play as many games as we have.
Seth Hundaby, the last one for you is your quarterback, Anton Amandrew. The number ones were flashed by receivers and that made big plays last week. How have you been able to balance the emotions? Because I can't imagine what this team is going through supporting one of their own. Yeah,
man, there's a lot of love in our program, especially like going out to A's, and like we all know how much he wants it and how bad he loves this program. So a lot of those big plays, yeah, they go out to him. Would love to have him on the field. Would love those situations, but hey, man, the world's not always a nice place. But yeah, man, just giving him like a ton of love, making big plays, thinking about him. He's in our hearts for sure.
All the best on Saturday, and can't wait to see you at Rider Camp next spring in Saskatoon.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
4th round draft pick of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, number 34 overall, and of course a standout with the University of Saskatchewan Huskies. He was named the Defensive Player of the Year in Canada West. He's up for the same award tonight here at the USports Football Awards at the Connexus Arts Center. That's Seth Hundaby. Boy, I tell you, what a pedigree. His mom, she was heavily involved in different athletics along the way, and his uncles and great uncles, and it goes back, I believe, 3 generations that he has actually been on the U of S Huskies. So Seth Hundaby looking for a big game on Saturday against Montreal here in Regina at Mosaic Stadium in the Vanier Cup. And if you haven't got your tickets yet, they're so affordable. They're under $20 in some instances. Again, all seats are rush seats, so there's not going to be a bad seat because you're going to pick where you want to sit coming here on Saturday. So again, go online, scoop up a ticket, and then be part of the history that'll be made at Mosaic Stadium. I remember the last time that the Vanier Cup was held in Saskatchewan. And I'm sure there's probably people out there that say, yeah, I remember that too. I still don't have feeling in my fingers because it was cold. And coming up very soon, if you're a SportsCage insider, if you're not, you should be. You can win all kinds of great prizes. Like, for example, we gave away a VIP experience to a Rider game where you go behind the scenes, you stand on the field for warm-up, so on and so forth. More great experiences like that are coming. Sign up for the Insider Report. You get it every day, and you get an opportunity to test your knowledge. And I'll give you the answer for a question that is coming up. If you go back to that 2006 Vanier Cup, The Saskatchewan Huskies were the hosts. The Laval Rouge-Or came in on a devastatingly cold day, one of the coldest November days all time in Saskatchewan. How cold was it? A football exploded when it was kicked by Saskatchewan Huskies punter Braden Sukin. Now, it wasn't during the game, which would have been a very unique conversation to have after the fact, but he was on the sideline warming up, and he kicks it, and it turns into powder in front of him. So interestingly enough, there is always going to be history in a moment at the Vanier Cup, and it is going to be very cool at Mosaic Stadium coming up here on Saturday. All right, let's get back to the Prairie Land Rentals text line. Again, I promised you that we're going to have some fun and games there. You send us a message today, and you automatically get entered for those exclusive SJHL SportsCage hats. Also, you can answer our question. We're looking for, and we talked about the last Saskatchewan team, which of course is the Huskies, to win the Vanier Cup. They had players from that team that went on to win Grey Cups. Now, we've identified a number of them. Actually, a great guess from Barry on the text line. Barry says it had to be Paul Waldo. It's not. Paul never won a Vanier Cup, to my knowledge. We've also got guests coming in for current Saskatchewan Roughriders who played with the Huskies, Nick Wiebe and Nelson Lacombo, and neither of them won a Vanier Cup. They did play in a Vanier Cup. The name we're after, though, again, frequent guest, has been on this program a number of times, played with the Saskatchewan Roughriders at one point in their career, won multiple Grey Cups. If you know it, text us on the Prairie Land Rentals text line at 306-936-6262. Also, coming up after 4 o'clock, joining us will be the quarterback for your Saskatchewan Roughriders Grey Cup MVP, Trevor Harris, and his sidekick. These two are great friends. You can see it all. If you watch the TSN after the game stuff from the broadcast booth, we get an opportunity to watch it live, and it's the funniest thing. They tackle each other. They lift one another off the field. They have a great mutual respect for one another. AJ Ouellette and Trevor Harris will be here with me at the Connexus Arts Center coming up this afternoon. Just after 4 o'clock to co-host with us. And again, if you've got a question, Roscoe's already got one in. We've got others flying in as well. Again, more guesses now coming in on that text line as well, but I don't see a correct answer yet of who we're after. So again, any text gets you entered in the draw for one of those great hats. And then, of course, we'll get you some opportunities to do some more winning coming up a little bit later on. Speaking of winning, of course, the Saskatchewan Roughriders were Grey Cup winners. They cleaned out their locker room yesterday. Coming up before we get to 4 o'clock, we're going to hear from a SportsCage fan favorite. Mike Rose dropped by to say goodbye. Of course, he's going to be heading out for the the off season. He was, of course, down in South Carolina. That's where he calls home originally, and that's where he's going to be headed. So we'll check in with Mike Rose, see what his off season plans are, see what they're going to look like. We'll get to that, and of course, much more coming up here on a Thursday edition of the Sports Cage. Dave Thomas filling in for Barney Shankruk, who's enjoying a little bit of holiday time. Tegan Whitco's off today, and I'm going to be here with a full room of football folks at the Connexus Arts Center, and of course, the USports Awards, which are going to be handed out. We've got to get to your sports ticker in a bit, as well as your clutch performer. That's all coming up. In the meantime, before we get to Mike Rose and more before 4, it's 3:36 on a gorgeous afternoon across southeastern Saskatchewan. We are going to take another time out. Of course, we're streaming at sportscage.com, and we're live on the radio on the home of local sports, 620 CKRM. Dave Thomas filling in for Barney Shankruk, Tegan Whitco on this Thursday edition of the Sports Cage. Thank you for joining us no matter where you are around the world at sportscage.com, or of course streaming us through the CKRM website, the CKRM app, or even listening to us on the radio at 620 CKRM. Boy, I tell you, there's people that are making me think that, sometimes you put together a trivia question and you're 100% sure that you got it right, and then you're 99% sure that you got it wrong after you see some of the guesses that are coming in on that Prairie Land Rentals text line at 306-936-6262. One that almost got me, I'm not going to kid you, is the name Dan Farthing. Dan Farthing, of course, was like the Canada West Player of the Year, won a Vanier Cup. But believe it or not, through the span of his CFL career, never won a Grey Cup. But that's an outstanding guess. Lots of folks are saying Scott Flory, like we've got Lorraine and Perry. Good guesses. But Scott Flory was one that we identified, right? He was one of those initial 3. So not Scott Fleury. Noah Zare is a good guess. That coming from a Manitoba number, but Noah has not won a Vanier Cup, but now he has won a Grey Cup, of course, the pride of Langenburg, Saskatchewan. So good guesses, none right. Of course, you can send us a text at 306-936-6262. Everyone also goes in the draw that Colson is going to make coming up a little bit later on. As mentioned, coming up in just a little bit, we will hear from your quarterback, Trevor Harris, and AJ Ouellette. They're going to be co-hosting after we get to the top of the hour, so don't go anyway for that. And if you do have a question that you want to know, of course, there's one question we all want to know in Saskatchewan, but if you want to know anything else, I'll ask your question at 306-936-6262. But let's get in the know. A guy that was a guest on the SportsCage has never won a Vanier Cup, so he's not the answer to the question. Oh, by the way, DH, a frequent guest host with Barney, has not won a Vanier or a Grey Cup that I'm aware of. Not to say it couldn't happen, but I'm just saying. But let's get down to business. And it was locker room clean out. And again, a chance to catch up with some of your Roughriders before they had their separate ways. And one of which was we acquired this free agent from Calgary, came in with a little bit of his chip on his shoulder and something to prove. And I remember very early in training camp asking him if that chip or something to prove was any bigger than at any other point in any other season in his esteemed career in the Canadian Football League. And Mike Rose quickly looked at me and said, no, not at all. I always play like I've got something to prove. If I don't, I'm going to lose my edge. And he had the edge off as, again, celebrating that Grey Cup victory over the weekend with his teammates and taking some time to catch up with me in the Riders locker room yesterday.
Mike Rose, Grey Cup champion with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Has it sunk in yet?
Nah, it's great. I'm glad to be here. It was a great season. I thoroughly enjoyed every part of being in Saskatchewan.
Obviously, you had an opportunity to go where you wanted, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders obviously had to give you some sort of description for what you would be in here for. Did that description match what you came in for and found out?
Man, they said they wanted to win a Grey Cup. You know, they follow through. They say they're going to do something. They follow through on it.
Was any aspect of this season a surprise to you? The one that jumps out, for example, Rider Nation sitting in the stands for 6 hours for a smoked out ball game, or thousands showing up for a Grey Cup parade and a little bit of drizzle and rain. Anything surprise you?
If anything, it confirmed what I thought about Rider Nation and about the fans here and about the people of Regina. Like, they take their football serious.
Did it give you an understanding of what this team means to the province in the messages, in seeing the pictures from around the province since you hoisted the Grey Cup?
I've gotten more love in 1 year playing football than I probably have since college. So it's a football place.
If somebody back home asked you, okay, tell me about Saskatchewan and the Saskatchewan Roughriders, what would you tell them?
About the team or about
everything?
I mean, I'm from South Carolina, so it's kind of like just being back home.
Really?
Yeah, you know, so South Carolina and Regina specifically are very similar. You know, flat and flattened lakes. That's all we need.
How about the people? The people and the passion that they have for this team. Again, I can't imagine being Mike Rose around Regina or anywhere in the province because you're going to get spotted everywhere you go.
I wouldn't want to be Micah Johnson because I know he can't even go to the grocery store. But, I mean, that just kind of shows, like, that the people care, they're investing. I wish more places were involved as Regina is in CFL football because, you know, you want the game to grow.
It was shocking to me today. I was with some longtime season ticket holders, and the one thing that stood out for them over the last 72 hours, they have never, ever heard someone say, we are going to go for back-to-back championships in this province. Is that already what we're looking ahead to, or has that even creeped into your mind after the season hasn't even ended, seemingly yet?
I think we're still, you know, we're going past the 24-hour rule.
Yeah.
You know, but, I mean, I would be hard-pressed not to say that everybody here wouldn't want to do this whole thing again. Like, who wouldn't want to win again?
Professional football, though, it's extremely hard to keep groups together. So does that make this final meeting in the locker room bittersweet?
No, because, you know, you see guys again. 9 times out of 10, you see them on another team, you know, or they'll hit you up in a DM. You know, I've met so many guys through the CFL, still keep in contact. Like, I'll keep an example. First person to text me after the win of the Grey Cup, Mike Kashak.
Wow.
The Mike Kashak, if you know who that is,
Yes.
defensive end for the McMaster University, played for the Calgary Stampeders. He was my roommate for years.
That's very cool. Well, the connections run deep, and now you've got your connection to Saskatchewan etched in history. Mike, thanks for your time this season, and all the best in the offseason.
Thank you very much.
There you go. Mike Rose, of course, first season with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He had spent the previous 7 with the Calgary Stampeders. And, boy, you know what? Talk about durability for Mike Rose. Again, he was a mainstay. He started 17 of 18 games. Of course, he was rested down the stretch by the Saskatchewan Roughriders. 17 tackles, 6 sacks, and a forced fumble in his first year in Saskatchewan. And, you know, he was – sometimes you put players together and you're not sure what you're going to get, if that makes sense. And with Mike Rose and Micah Johnson, you're pretty sure of what you were going to get. And that's exactly what they got, right? They got 2 durable interior defensive linemen that could shut down the run. The Riders, of course, had the best defense against the run in the Canadian Football League. They were able to take up blocks, which allowed, of course, the outside edge guys and Malik Carney and Shane Ray and Haba Baldonado to have more success. And that's what you want out of your defensive interior lineman. And Luke Mullender, throughout the course of the year, would point out over and over and over and over again that those guys, you know, they're kind of the linchpins to make sure that everything is going, because remember how good that Riders defense was when they were able to get pressure with just 4. And a lot of it came down to Mike Rose and Micah Johnson. So thanks to Mike Rose for taking time. Of course, a favorite when we had him on the SportsCage. He was fantastic with Barney and the crew. So we'll hope to have him again. But of course, on his way down to South Carolina, as many of the players are departing now. And of course, the future, who knows? We'll have a better idea, I think, next week with Jeremy O'Day when he's set to speak with us, and we'll have him on the SportsCage as well. So, again, if you've got questions for Trevor Harris and AJ Ouellette, we want to hear from you on the text line at 306-936-6262. Of course, the Prairie Land Rentals text line. Also, we're getting guesses coming in regarding who was that player that we're talking about that was a member of the last Vanier Cup Saskatchewan winning team that also went on to win Grey Cups in their professional career. Now, we've got Barb who says Scott Flory. That's very true. But that's one of the ones that we identified. So we've got Scott Flory identified, Warren Musica identified, Matt Kellett has been identified. The one that made me guess was Dan Farthing. Again, Farthing won Vanier Cups, but didn't win a Grey Cup with the Riders as a player, now has as a coach, of course. There's Patty Neufeld. Good guess. Patty, of course, went on to win Grey Cups with Winnipeg, but never did win a Vanier Cup. Scott Schultz is a good guess, but not the one that we're after. And again, like I said, Dan Farthing was the one that really made me scratch my head. I'm like, boy, he had such a great career. Did he win? And, of course, he's a winner all around, but that not the answer that we wanted. So Scott Flory's out, Musica's out, Makowski, Big Gino is out. He won, of course, a Vanier Cup, but he didn't do it the last time that Saskatchewan won. I sometimes think I would make a great teacher because I like asking trick questions. But then I'm like, that's probably not what we want for our education system, so maybe don't go down that path. So that is a very true response. As mentioned, we've also got some great questions coming in for your quarterback and running back, AJ Ouellette. Glen Suitor is going to join us. We're going to talk about press coverage, and we're going to talk about USports in Canada. Again, it's a showcase of Canadian talent, and it's a showcase of what perseverance sometimes looks like with these student athletes, right? So Seth Hundeby, heard from him earlier this hour. If you missed the conversation, check out the podcast at sportscage.com. But in addition to being drafted by the Saskatchewan Roughriders, he also, of course, decided to go back to school because he's an engineering student so he could finish his engineering degree. That's what he's done, and now he gets an opportunity to play in the Vanier Cup. And I did ask him, you heard that when, did you feel at all like you kind of missed out on a team that won the Grey Cup, and he's not going to have any regrets or look back on his decision and going to try to make the most of it when it comes to winning a Vanier Cup here this weekend. Now, we got the sports ticker, lots happening on, of course, the local ponds. We'll get to what happened with the Regina Pats last night. And coming up before we get to 6 o'clock, Benny Walchuk will join us with the SJHL report. There's some interesting happenings right now and statistical anomalies in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. We'll explore those and more in just a few moments. We are getting closer to news time. We're live at the Connexus Arts Center. It is the USports Football Awards. They will be handed out tonight. There are a number of Saskatchewan athletes and Canada West athletes that are up for multiple awards. We'll run those down for you and more, all coming up live from the Connexus Arts Center. We'll take one more break and come back in just a moment. This is the Sports Cage. We're streaming on YouTube, on X, and at sportscage.com. And, of course, you can hear us everywhere in southern Saskatchewan on the home of local sports, 620 CKRM. Dave Thomas back at the Connexus Arts Center, filling in for Barney on the, of course, Sports Cage on a Thursday. Did I just hear we're doing the sports ticker? Did you hear that?
Yeah,
that's what we're doing.
Certainly doing the sports ticker.
I know, I'm supposed to watch that. That's Curtis Gammon, of course, Colson Schultz operating things back at the ranch. Let's take a look at what you can expect on the local ponds tonight. Prairie Junior Hockey League, the Regina Silver Foxes taking on Fort Knox. Fort Knox are the defending champions. Silver Foxes have kind of been hot and cold this season. Puck drops tonight in Fort Capel at 7:30. Saskatchewan Midget Under 18 AAA League. Of course, they're the under 18 AAAs, and you've got the Swift Current Legionnaires at the Saskatoon Blazers tonight up at Latrace Arena in Saskatoon. The Prince Albert Mintos are taking on the Contacts over at Merlis Belcher Place in the Bridge City. National Hockey League regular season action tonight. 12 games are on the ice, 5 including Canadian teams, including the Columbus Blue Jackets. They're taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. 6 o'clock puck drop there. The Washington Capitals play the Montreal Canadiens. They've lost 4 in a row. And again, that puck hits the ice at 6. The Edmonton Oilers. What's going on with the Oilers? Good question.
Yeah,
good question.
Is a good question.
What is going on with the Edmonton Oilers? They dropped another one last night. Haven't won in regulation since October the 28th.
Oof.
It's not good. 6:30, they take on the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight. The Dallas Stars are in Vancouver to take on the hot and cold Canucks. No word on whether or not Thatcher Demko will be healthy enough to even take the pregame skate. We'll wait and find out there. Ottawa Senators also playing the Anaheim Ducks tonight. In the National Football League, Week 12 kicks off tonight. Buffalo Bills taking on the Houston Texans. Buffalo's won 4 of 5 over their last meetings with the Texans. A big game, I would suggest, for Josh Allen, who came off and destroyed my fantasy football team. 3 touchdown passes, 3 touchdown runs last week. They pick on Houston tonight in week number 12. Curtis, you look fantastic here for the USports Awards night tonight, wearing a suit and a tie, and you're fresh off a Grey Cup experience.
Yes, it was kind of a fun experience to be around. Like, it kind of came last minute, and I even surprised you, Dave. I just showed up and it's like, hey, Dave, how's it going?
It was a good surprise, though.
Yeah, it was nice to kind of be there and check out things in Riderville. I even met a couple Sports Cage listeners. Shout out to Ron and Deb. Deb was saying very nice things about me. So she was like, oh, I'm always hearing about Curtis this, Curtis that on the Sports Cage. And it's like, you are awesome. And I was like, really? Me? I'm awesome? Thank you.
Well, wait until they meet Colson. Then they're going to truly find out
exactly
what awesome is. For folks that don't know, you do a lot of the behind-the-scenes work when it comes to our streaming and what we do at sportscage.com. And when you look back at this Grey Cup winning season, what's your takeaway?
What do I take away? You know what? That there's a lot of people that work hard to put things together behind the scenes, even more people than like myself and Colson. And you know what? It was just an exciting season to kind of all take in, and being kind of like a part of history, you know, following the team so closely and managing to get it done. Like, I think it's really cool.
There you go. All right. Well, it has been very cool. Your text messages are rolling in on the Prairie Land Rentals text line at 306-936-6262. You're watching the stream. You see our next guests. They're coming on the radio and on the stream right after 4 o'clock. Trevor Harris and AJ Ouellette will be here. We'll take a break for the news and come back with more. This is the Sports Cage, streaming live at sportscage.com and across Saskatchewan at 620 CKRM. Happy Thursday, Saskatchewan. It seems like, I don't know, a Saturday all over again, because it's been that type of week across the province. I'm Dave Thomas, filling in for Barney Shankrick. This is the Sports Cage, brought to you by Access Communications, trusted in rural Saskatchewan for internet, TV, and home security. I was hopeful that we would have these two gentlemen on the Western Pizza guest hotline. They actually took time out of their day, which I can only imagine has been clouded by a bunch of requests to join us here live at the Connexus Arts Center. Instead, are ahead of the USports awards that are going to be handed out. Trevor Harris, quarterback, MVP of Grey Cup, 112. AJ Ouellette, the running back for your Saskatchewan Roughriders.
The Bash Brothers in town.
Look out, right? Absolutely. Thank you, first and foremost, for doing this. We've got a bunch of questions that Rider Nation has been asking you. I promised if they text in at 306-936-6262, we would read their text messages for you. So let's get down to business. First and foremost, how has this last week been soaking up a Grey Cup victory?
It's been great. Even going to the parade, it was more than I was expecting. The amount of people that were just lined up on the streets and people celebrating. Still trying to read through all the messages on Instagram and text messages. So Grey Cups here are different.
Yeah, it's been phenomenal. And the best part for me is, like I was just telling you before we got on, was just watching the guys celebrate. And, job well done. And, we got to finish the job. And obviously to do it in Saskatchewan is something that people talk about quite a bit. And you're kind of feeling that the province really is enjoying this with us. And, we're a community-owned team, so it's their Grey Cup as well. And so we're excited to be able to bring it home.
Okay, Trevor, I'm sure you can probably guess, but we need to ask the question that everybody in Saskatchewan wants to know. How do you like your steak?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, I didn't know if we were going there. Well done. Good pivot. Medium.
Medium?
Medium, yeah.
AJ?
Medium rare.
And I'm going to suggest, if you're going to go in Regina, the Diplomat or Golf Steakhouse, both phenomenal choices.
I don't disagree at all with either of those.
Neptune filet, if you go to Golf's, never misses.
Neptune filet. I've never had that one.
It's phenomenal.
Really? And medium, you said?
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah.
I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah. Medium or medium rare, whatever you feel.
Okay. Should we ask the other question? You were cheering me on. You wanted the other question.
I did want the other question, but only if you're feeling it right now.
Really?
Yeah.
No. Okay, why don't you ask the question then?
What, 2 more years?
Okay, whatever you want. You're asking.
2 more years.
Rumor,
This
guy was making waves yesterday saying doesn't know about next year. Maybe we need to be asking him this.
Okay. Let's ask both of you. Next year is coming up. What do you want to do?
Win another one. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
This is the best place to play football in the CFL. That's for sure. So, yeah, go home, pray about it, think about it, and do what's best.
Yeah, I was just chatting with my wife a little bit today about it and was asking her where she was at for next year. And she's given some pretty good answers and pretty clear answers. And so I just told her that we'd wait till we got home to kind of chat about it. And, you obviously want to make sure that you're the right fit for the organization. And there's alignment from, the people upstairs. And I had great meetings with J.O., with Kyle, and Mace and Euler and all the guys. And so things looking good, but you want to just make sure that I'm just a type of person. I put everything I have into it, and I just want to make sure that I can always do that, because being able to look at your teammates in the eye and told them that you could do everything that you could possibly do in the off season, during the season, your weekly prep, everything is something you always should be reflecting on briefly during the off season. But there's no shortage of motivation here to come back next year. So, like I said yesterday, I'd be shocked if it didn't work out.
When you look at this, and it's more than just a saying, right? People can say we're a family, but unless you have that true meaning, like seeing the two of you interact with one another, it's like you're brothers. How does that type of relationship come about? Where does that manifest from?
Man, I'm glad you see it, because it's exhausting pretending to like this guy.
It's exhausting liking myself. So
it's crazy, because we kind of chatted during free agency before I came here, and I was expecting a 10-minute chat about football, and it ended up being a 3-hour chat about anything but football. And from there it started, and it's been growing every day. And now I'm just a bum living in his basement. So it's a true brotherhood.
Yeah, and it's easy to. I don't like saying nice things to his face, but it's easy to love AJ. What he went through last year, how his body was feeling, and to see him grind through that, it kind of is just like, as much as it sucked for him and as much as it sucked for us that he wasn't healthy, it told you everything you need to know about him, what he was able to put himself through for his guys and for his teammates, and what he was willing to do, put himself on the line like that, even though he knew he wasn't himself. But God kind of circling back. And this year, AJ, you got to see who he is. And he goes out and runs for 1,100 yards and, doesn't even play a full 18 games. If he plays a full 18, maybe he's got 1,300, 14, who knows? And what we're capable of as a group is, if we can keep this group together, is putting together quite a run. And that's the kind of the thing that kind of gets you excited here if you're a Rider fan, because you've got the right people in leadership positions, and we've got tremendous guys in the locker room that are able to do this, that are still hungry to do it again.
I'll read you a text from Marcel, and it says, 2025 was my first year as a season ticket holder. No thanks to you returning for one more year, Trevor. Was able to take my wife to her first Grey Cup game this year, and thank you for winning, and was able to meet AJ's family outside the stadium afterwards. I gifted Rider medallion to his family for the thank you. So thank you to both of you. And there's a question, basically, how do you feel about the CFL game moving forward? It really looks to be in a strong spot.
Yeah, it's and obviously, Marcel, we thank you for your support, and go and renew those season tickets, brother. I'm sure you had a great time this year, and for us in the CFL, we've got tremendous leadership, I think, at the top of our league. With Stu. All the people were saying they were booing him. Maybe they were saying Stu.
Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah,
that's what I would have been saying. So I think he's going to do a tremendous job. We've got a great commissioner. We've got great owners. And we've got teams that are in strong spots, and we've got great quarterback play across the league, great running backs, receivers. The Canadian talent is just through the roof right now. I mean, you look at people like on our team, Sam, Shafe, Tommy Neal, Ajo, Dell, Mitch. I mean, all these guys that could be starters, legitimate starters, and they're stars. And the fact that we could start 5 Canadians not bat an eye is truly remarkable. And then you've got people like Logan Furland up front, who's stalwarts up front. And it's just in a great spot right now. And I just can't wait to see what the league looks like, in 5 to 10 years. And it sure is a product and league that we're all proud of.
This is a combination from Roscoe, and I believe it's Jason. Thank you both for making it easy to cheer for good people. Do you have an understanding of how proud Rider Nation is?
I mean, we got a feel for it, right? They as soon as we got off the plane, I felt like we were loved, and throughout the whole season, Rider Nation had our back, and truly blessed to be here. And appreciate them calling us good dudes too. Yeah, it's honestly, we're going to be people much longer than we are football players, and so we really appreciate the comments as people. And shoot, we're proud of this province. We're proud of the people here, and I feel like what Jo and Kyle have done, and Mace have done such a unique job, and Larry Dean is bringing in people that can relate to this province of hardworking, blue-collar people that really take pride in what they do, and they take pride in who we are on the field. And we've talked long hours about representing this province on the field with what the people of this province would want. And regardless of how they feel about us, if we should trade Trev, move on from Trev, or AJ shot, all this stuff that hopefully people can understand now of, that we were able to come through and do what was needed to get done to represent this province and put the trophy where it belongs.
Okay, these 2 questions come from Kevin, and they're a follow-up to a question that I asked Coach Mace yesterday. When the movie is made about the 2025 Saskatchewan Roughriders, Coach Mace, we felt, would be played in that movie by Denzel Washington. So who's going to play Trevor Harris, and who's going to play AJ Ouellette in that movie?
I wish I knew actors' names. I don't. Could I just do the basic Thor? Who plays Thor?
Whoever plays Thor. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what about Don Billingsley from Friday Night Lights?
I do love him. Or the little axe-carrying guy from The Lord of the Rings. I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who would play me, honestly. I don't know, honestly.
Okay.
Maybe from Varsity Blues, Lance Harbor. He wore number 7.
Yeah.
But he wore the wrong colors. He wore blues ugly.
Yeah. Good answer.
Can we ask the fans to throw in?
Can we get some ideas from fans?
Yeah, absolutely. 306-936-6262. Follow up.
Paul Bunyan?
Because I would like to know.
The other question that we asked Coach Mace yesterday was the obstacles. All right, a movie has a great ending. What were the obstacles that this team had to overcome throughout the year? Because you were the first team in Saskatchewan Roughrider history to basically go pole to pole, wire to wire, lead the West, win the Grey Cup. Gosh,
and I hate to say this because there are obstacles that we got through, but it never felt like anything was insurmountable because of the love we had for one another, the work ethic we had, and the type of culture that we had in that room. And so, there were plenty of obstacles, with, we lost who everybody thought was our best 2 receivers at the beginning of the year for basically the year was Sam and Shafe.
Yeah.
And then, when Sam and Shafe came back, Dante got hurt and Keyshawn got hurt. And so the receiver room just continued to step up. We lost guys on defense for long periods of time with Shane Ray, with Roland Milligan, TC. Sales was banged up. We had a lot of people that got through stuff, but the culture here is the next man up is going to do exactly what he's supposed to do and hold up a certain standard. But it never felt like it was something insurmountable. I don't know if AJ would agree, but it's just like we are who we are and we believe in one another. We're going to get this done, heck or high water. And that's really what we're at all year.
Yeah, nothing felt too out of control. I think it's because we have a process-oriented team, right? We show up day in and day out, and it's just focus on what that day is. What do you need to do to win that day? So I get it if you're looking down the head like, hey, we lost 3 receivers. The next 5 games are going to suck. But when you're just showing up that day and how can you improve to make your team better, you're not thinking about all those extra things.
Trevor Harris, AJ Ouellette joining us on the Sports Cage live from the Connexus Arts Center. Keep the questions coming. We'll get to as many as we can. This one's from Kevin. This came earlier today. AJ Ouellette, I heard your playlist during training camp in Saskatoon. What were some of the songs on it? I can't remember.
My playlist during training camp.
I don't know. I think that Aldo might have just maybe he was getting grief and said it's AJ Ouellette so that people would like it. I don't know.
It was for Wednesdays. Okay, what would that have been? That would have been any type of Nickelback, Creed, and then you got Morgan Wallen, Luke Combs, Bailey Zimmerman. Like those are my go-tos.
All right. Trevor Harris is looking at the questions.
Yeah,
is there one you want to answer?
Hating on stuff. He's saying, "Oh, please, all players have come in our locker room, Jeffrey Townend, and tell me that this team isn't uber close. Have some class, have some feel, buddy. Nobody sets a team up like a 40-year-old quarterback. Tell me if I play like I'm 40, Jeffrey."
Jeffrey's a Stamps fan.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
feisty.
Wow. I don't know. I just heard it's our time, so I don't know. I'm just going to leave it at that, all right?
No, Jeffrey, we appreciate it, man. I appreciate the comments in here. We're just having fun.
Who's most likely in the locker room to win a game of Monopoly? We've heard about A.J. Allen and chess. Who wins Monopoly? I could see this being a battle, too.
I don't think my attention span's there.
I mean, I feel like I've got some pretty good mental longevity. I can keep it going. I'm film for hours. I'd probably be the guy in the quarterback room.
Yeah.
All those other guys, I'd kill them, destroy them.
Wow.
No, we got some really smart quarterbacks. It'd be fun.
How? By the way, how special of a relationship is it with you and Jake Mayer? Jake.
Yeah.
Again, we've seen the success that he's had in the Canadian Football League, and he comes in, and I don't want to say a support role. I would say that the two of you were colleagues in everything that you did, and that's me outside in.
Yeah. But I would extend that to Tommy and Jack as well.
Yes.
Truly just the most professional room I've been a part of, but we had so much fun in the process. These guys they showed up every single day, put in the work. Nobody complained. Everybody bought into what their role was. Even weeks where, I wasn't playing, like the Winnipeg week late in the season and the BC game early in the year where I had the concussion and was out. We all came to work and we all prepared the exact same way. And that was something, a hallmark of this team was just putting our nose to the grind every single week and preparing no matter what.
I know I asked this question yesterday of you because we had talked about how you dissect moments. And to me, when you're speaking, if you listen to Trevor Harris, folks, he can make a moment stand still in your mind and have 6 different things that you never would know are happening. When you saw AJ Ouellette run into the end zone in the Grey Cup game, so what's going through your mind after you hand him the ball?
I had flashbacks, actually. I don't know if I've even told him this. I had flashbacks to watching him do it in 22 in the Grey Cup. He scored 2 touchdowns in that game, and it was kind of a similar one where it was a downhill run from he was on the right side, and he went boom and kind of cut it back right and got in the end zone and kind of hopped in the end zone. And with the, AJ Ouellette kind of hop that he does, skip in the end zone, and then seeing all the linemen go kind of maul him and get after him was awesome. See the hop there, boom, and then he kind of gets in the end zone and then does that little toss thing, and right there he's thinking, shoot, I just threw the Grey Cup touchdown ball, should have kept it. And then everybody just going to celebrate after just a great drive, because it was a great answer by us, and then we were able to kind of extend the lead a little bit, and you could kind of just feel the momentum shift in that game. And then once we got to 25-7, just kind of wish we would have kind of just had a little bit more pedal to the metal and executed a little bit better to extend that thing to get it to like 30. Because I remember looking up the scoreboard and it was 30 or 25-10 when they kicked the field goal, and I was like, it's going to be 39-10 to finish this. And that was what I was just thinking at that moment.
Wow.
But I really wish we would have just executed a little bit better down the stretch.
What's going through your mind when Trevor makes the call in the huddle and then hands the ball off to you?
Just reading the defense out, trying to process what the best spot to fit in is. And then, like he said, just breaking tackles. Super excited, threw the ball, and as soon as I threw it, I was like, yeah, I just lost that one. Not getting that ball back. I got 2 from the previous Grey Cup, so wish I could have that one. That one means a little bit more. But, yeah, just super pumped that we had a crazy drive to get down there, and I could help cap it off.
So when you look back, so you've kept footballs from previous Grey Cups. What other memorabilia do you have?
I got the confetti.
Yeah.
The first one basically glued to my cleats. They're stuck. Confetti from this one, I already got it in a Sask jar with a lid on it. What else? So I got the helmet jersey. Yeah.
Trevor, what do you keep?
I got my jersey. You got to make sure you keep that. And it's just kind of funny. You'll have certain people be like, hey, can I have your jersey when you're walking off the field? And
really?
it's like, have some feel here, man. Like, I kind of want to keep this one or give it to my mom or wife or kids or something like that. But yeah, just that. And I'm going to buy my helmet before we leave. And obviously I have a really cool trophy that should be a team award that was the MVP of the game, which was, something I felt like AJ and I could have shared or could have went to him fully. But I don't think either one of us would have been mad either way if anybody got it, as long as we were the ones getting that cup.
So AJ, tell me this a little bit when it comes to you guys and the things that you sometimes do post-game. The TSN stuff was pretty cool, but the coolest one I thought was you and Logan Ferland making snow angels in the confetti at center field at Princess Auto Stadium.
Yeah, and I give Logan all the credit for that one. We were celebrating in the locker room, and I needed to get out of the mosh pit just a little bit so I could breathe. And he was standing there at his locker, just like looking emotional, and he came up to me and goes, do you want to go out on the field one more time? I'm like, freak yeah, like I was just pumped, like, yeah, I want to go out there. And as soon as we walked out there, I could just feel that it was just like, wow, I needed to do this. And we walked out there and just had a little bit of a bromance sitting in the confetti and just talking about life, really.
Wow.
Bringing this up, like how we're going to talk about this in 20 years from now. And yeah.
Trevor Harris, AJ Ouellette, our guests. Again, we've got them for a few more moments. You can still get a text message in at 306-936-6262. When it's not football, right? It's parenting, it's life outside. Again, I know that you like being in the outdoors and having fun that way. Is that the decompress from football? I should say, I also know that you like beating Trevor Harris's kids in video games as well. But when you're not on the football field, when you have a moment to yourself, what does that moment look like?
Oftentimes it's me just spend time with my family, and I hate to say it, I'm just kind of a boring dude. I like to spend time with my family, reading the Bible. Today, AJ and I, the last couple of days, got some workouts in. Just wanted to kind of get the body going back in the the off season mode, and to me, it's just the quiet moments with my kids and family. And if we can get my kids to bed at a certain time, then me and my wife kind of just watching a show together, kind of just getting to chat a little bit. I think anybody that has multiple kids would tell you that those quiet moments are often the times that you used to not look forward to, but do now.
Yeah. AJ?
Yeah. Off season, I love being a part of the gym back home, like getting to see that family, getting to see the kids grow. Cause like they grow crazy just in the 6 months I'm here, and you get to go home and see their improvement that they had with the coaches there, and then spending time with family. And I don't want to say it, but a good decompression that after season that just makes me feel relaxed. Caitlin will put a cringy Christmas movie on, and I say I hate it just because I'm a guy and I have to say it, but I actually love it.
All right. We got tons flying in. These are going to have to be quick answers. This one's coming from Darcy in Melville. What do you think is harder, winning your first Grey Cup or winning 2 in a row?
Ooh, it's going to be 2 in a row.
2 in a row.
Okay.
Shout out Melville, though. That's where Logan's from, right?
Melville, home alone, Furlan. Is it
Melford?
Oh, shoot.
We're close.
Same province. You got the province right. Trevor, thanks for representing this team in this province with class and humility. That's coming from Rick, and I think there's a side connotation come back next year.
Rick, appreciate you.
AJ, how much has Andrew Harris helped you? That's Vince from Regina.
Oh, I mean, he's huge. He was a tremendous punching bag. I had all season at practice holding on to things for stiff arms. So good way to get the anger out.
I'm sorry, I can't read this name. Have you watched the Grey Cup game back?
We did today. We watched it today together.
Film or
film?
Yeah. Did you like what you saw?
The reason I didn't want to watch it is because I was like, man, if I would have done this, I could have done this, or I wish we would have done this, sort of a thing. So So right now, that's why I just made the comment. I was hoping 39.
Yeah, I left some plays out there, and then the one penalty I had, it looks terrible on TV, but in the moment I thought it looked better.
When you see someone go like this, what? Yeah, I was like, no, that was a penalty. That was crazy.
Did you talk to him on the field about that? That was the one question I had. Like, did anybody say anything to AJ? Because I'm like, I'm not bringing it up. Like, what am I going to say?
AJ, that's not his way. Like, that's
no.
I was like, when did they go unnecessary roughness 45 Saskatchewan? I was like, what? I was like, AJ, what is wrong with this guy? I'm mic'd up, so I know I probably said some stuff, but it was more like AJ never does that. Nobody says a word to him because everybody knows that's not who he is. He didn't mean to. There's no way.
Andre Proulx, speaking of mic'd up, during the national anthem, Andre Proulx's mic was left open so you could hear him sing the national anthem. If you had a teammate that should be mic'd up when singing the national anthem, who would it be?
Joe, probably.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like he can sing. Right?
You'd hear him without the mic.
Yeah.
But I stand beside Shafe most games, and he sings.
Well, Shafe probably has a great voice, too.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, he's emotional, too, at the end of it.
We've heard about people and teammates sharing meals at one another. You were living with Trevor for a while. Which teammate do you think cooks the best that you want to go to their meal for? Or host to a meal for?
Logan Furlan hosts the O-line and running backs every other week, I think. And
Dante and Keyshawn have the whole who's the better cook thing.
Yeah.
Keyshawn. So I'm going to go Key.
You're team Keyshawn on that one.
Just because I like driving the wedge between those two to make them hear them argue and have some fun. We'll go with Keyshawn. And if you ask me tomorrow, I'll say Dante. That way I can kind of just, play both sides of both my guys.
Yeah, I'll say Logan.
How often will you catch up with your teammates in the off season?
Daily. I text at least a few of my teammates every day.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep some of them. I'll probably block Trevor, but I'll keep some of them up. I'll talk to someone at least every day.
Are you guys driving back home together?
So, the thing is AJ likes me. This is his way. Look at him.
It's the brotherly love.
He's trying to get me to fight for him here.
Yeah?
No, yes, we're all driving back together.
You are?
Yeah.
Who drives?
Me.
Yeah?
I'm the older brother.
Yeah, and
he starts nodding off because he's a little, aged.
So
geriatric, man.
Wasn't it you that pointed out your age yesterday? What was it? I've got gray hair. I'm no good anymore. Like, where did that come from?
No, it's just that's people just kept asking, like, is this it for you? And I'm like, I feel like I'm supposed to feel like, man, this is the last chapter of the book, close the book. Like, I don't feel like I have gray hairs. I don't feel like when I watch myself play, I don't think I'm aging, I just don't feel like that, I guess is where it came from.
Your analogy was, I've got lots of tread on my tires at the start of last year.
Yeah.
We haven't had any bad weather, so I don't think you need to change the tires, do you?
Not yet. I don't think so. But again, Jeffrey thinks so.
Oh, that's okay. Jeffrey's on YouTube, and it's good.
No, we're good. I still feel great. I'm really thankful. God's been great, and these guys sure do help keep us young.
You guys both made choices to join the Saskatchewan Roughriders as free agents, albeit at different times. When you were sold the idea of coming to Saskatchewan, right? There's obviously a pitch done, and I don't understand. I don't know how that is done, but whatever was communicated to you at that point, has it lived up to your expectations?
Yeah, I mean, fan base wise, of course, but Coach Mace, when that window opened where they could reach out to free agents, FaceTimed me from the weight room in the stadium, because it's the best stadium in the league and best weight room in the league. And then we were talking just weight room wise, training wise. And he goes, also, the only way you're going to stop is at a stoplight. There's not going to be any traffic. And driving an hour and a half commute in Toronto, I was sold. I'm like, yes, I'm tired of these crashes, traffic jams, all that.
Trevor, for you?
Yeah, it was early in my career that I played here, and we won a double overtime game when I played for Toronto. And I remember leaving and saying, like, someday I want to be the quarterback of this team, and not knowing that it would ever happen. You know, obviously you never hope to leave the team you're playing for, but it sure did end up working out, and I couldn't be more grateful to be here. And I've played for a lot of teams, and I hope that when it's all said and done, I'm remembered as a Rough Rider.
Highlights. We talked about the obstacles for the movie one last time. We go back to the movie, the highlights of the year. Obviously, the Grey Cup game and the ending is easy. Other highlights?
West Final. The final drive in the West Final was pretty stinking cool.
Yeah, that's a highlight of the season for sure. And then Labor Day.
Yeah,
right. Sold
winning
out.
Labor Day and the Banjo Bowl back to back against Winnipeg was, I thought a pretty cool hurdle to clear, and I think it kind of just announced that that we're still coming. We're being close to being here, and I think that us winning one announced that we're for real, and now it's just about continuing to press on, and the fact that Corey Mace is here, Mark Mueller's here, Jo, and all the guys. I think we're here to stay.
Yeah.
Last two, real quick. I'm sorry, don't hurt me. Last two, real quick. Number one, what was said in that huddle in the final drive of the West Final?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Not a word, but I can tell you this, that every single person on the sideline and every single person in the huddle knew exactly what was about to happen. And that can sound cocky and pompous, and I don't mean for it to sound that way. I genuinely don't. It's a conviction, a confidence of who's in the huddle and what we're going to do and what we've done all year. It was just who's going to score and how's it going to get done and how cool is it going to be celebrating together is what I kind of felt.
It's crazy.
Part comment, part question. Rider Nation, you've mentioned season tickets. Get them now. Of course, a full building has an impact on a game. How big an impact, and did anything have more of an impact when you understood against Calgary this summer, fans sat in the stands for 6 hours just hoping to see you, their heroes, play?
Yeah, it was, to me, it was just, that's all I was thinking about during the delay was I felt awful for the fans. And, I know everybody was like, man, you guys are sitting there doing this. I was just like, the fans are sitting out there. And the fact that, they had to go through that was kind of gut wrenching. But I think in the end, they would say if they had to go through that for us to go win the Grey Cup, I think that we would all pretty much agree that we could get it done and do that. And, us winning the West Final there and then going on to win the Grey Cup ended up working out.
Two great people, two Grey Cup champions. AJ Ouellette, Trevor Harris, enjoy your off season. And we look forward to seeing you at training camp in Saskatoon in the spring. Right?
Yes,
I hope so. We'll see. Yeah, thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. And we appreciate all you guys. Just shout out one more to the fans, all you listeners. You guys really do make a difference for us as a team. And we're truly grateful to be able to be your quarterback and running back and be able to play for the Rough Riders. So God bless y'all and take care. Have a great winter.
There you go. Trevor Harris, AJ Ouellette. The Sports Cage is live on location from the USports Awards Banquet, of course, here at the Connexus Arts Center. We'll come back with more in a moment. We're streaming at sportscage.com and, of course, live on 620 CKRM, the home of your Saskatchewan Roughriders. Back in the Sports Cage live at the Connexus Arts Center. Boy, what a way to start a 4 o'clock hour. Whew. Thank you for all the text messages for the Prairie Rentals text line. My complete apologies for anyone that we didn't get to the questions for, as we did our best. We've got still some answers rolling in at 936-6262. We do have correct answers, though, too. When it comes to our trivia this afternoon, the last time a Saskatchewan team, the U of S Huskies, won the Vanier Cup in 1998, members of their team went on to win multiple Grey Cups. We've identified Scott Flory. We've identified Warren Muzica. We've got a good friend of the show that also was a member of that Vanier Cup championship team that won multiple Grey Cups. Who were they? We'll tell you. That's coming up in a little bit. We've also got to get to Glen Suitor and, of course, the SJHL and the SJHL Report. First, though, we've got to get to your clutch performer. Of course, brought to you by Nick's Service. And, again, I'm a history guy. And Colson is probably going to start screaming in my ear because I'm going to talk about the Edmonton Oilers yet again, even though I'm not an Oilers fan. But how about Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid? They've gone ahead and now completed a historic moment where 500 points have been scored with the two of them involved. So 500 different goals with the two of them involved at the same time. It's an outstanding mark by two outstanding players. And unfortunately, the Edmonton Oilers didn't get it done. So they weren't clutch in that aspect, but the two have been when it comes to my team in the hockey pool. So Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. You could probably pick them every day, but of course, they are your clutch performers for Nick's service this afternoon. Here on the Sports Cage live from Connexus Arts Center, you can start to see things are coming into play behind me as we'll be handing out some hardware a little bit later on this evening. Should mention Nick's service in Emerald Park, your local Massey Ferguson Challenger, Rogator, Gleaner, and Fent dealer. Call 781-1077. We've got the Sports Cage ticker coming up, and in a moment, we're going to hear from a member of the Saskatchewan Huskies that's proud to call Regina home. Charlie Parks is having an outstanding season, and well, he's hoping for a victory in the Vanier Cup, but he's hoping for bigger things beyond that. We're going to hear from him coming up in just a moment. This is the Sports Cage. We're live at Connexus Arts Center on a Thursday afternoon. Dave Thomas and for Barney Shankeruk and Tegan Whitco. More coming up. This is the Sports Cage, streamed at sportscage.com and, of course, on the air at 620 CKRM. Dave Thomas here for Barney Shankeruk and Tegan Whitco. It's the Sports Cage live on location, Connexus Arts Center. The USports Football Awards will be handed out here tonight. On the ticker, though, let's take a look at your local hockey. Prairie Junior Hockey League tonight. Fort Knox is home to the Regina Silver Foxes. First face-off there in Fort Capellas at 7:30. Under 18 AAA boys games tonight. The Saskatoon Blazers are home to Swift Current, while across town, the Prince Albert Mintos visit the Saskatoon Contacts. National Hockey League has got 12 games on the go tonight, including Toronto home to Columbus, Washington at Montreal, Edmonton taking on Tampa Bay, Dallas at Vancouver, and Ottawa plays in Anaheim, while the National Football League's Week 12 kicks off tonight with the Buffalo Bills taking on the Houston Texans. Red-hot Josh Allen, who burned me in fantasy last week, looks to be good to go tonight against the Texans if there was ever any doubt. Let's get to more football now before we head back to Leroy and get with Cody Glyden and more coming up. First, though, of course, Vanier Cup is here Saturday. University of Saskatchewan Huskies taking on the University of Montreal. I had an opportunity to catch up with homegrown product, Charlie Parks.
We say welcome home to Charlie Parks and the University of Saskatchewan Huskies. Regina native, what's it like being back at Mosaic Stadium?
It's electric. You know, I played a couple of high school championships here, played a lot of high school games here, a lot of minor games here. It's really nice to be back.
So knowing the Vanier Cup was going to be in your hometown all year long, was obviously that a big motivator for you to get back here?
So it's not really something that I've focused on. You know, it's just, we don't really care where the Vanier Cup's going to be. We just care that we're playing in it. And that's always been the focus, you know, like it's just, the location is just a bonus. You know, it's nice that it's here. It's nice that I get to play in front of the home crowd. But, you know, we want to be in this game regardless of where it is. It's secondary.
You're in your fourth year of eligibility right now with the Saskatchewan Huskies. I know you've been nicked up in the past. You've had to battle through some adversity. What did you learn about your body and maybe what yourself when you had to battle back from those injuries to get into a lineup?
Just not try to be too tough sometimes. You know, like I hurt my back pretty bad 2 years ago in my second year, and then, you know, kept playing and thought through the whole summer, like, hey, I'm going to be able to play until, you know, it just gets to a point where it's like, well, you know, I can play, but it's not my best. And so I decided to get surgery right before the season last year, missed most of it, but battled back. And, you know, I've just discovered that it's a lot more resilient. It's a lot more resilient than you think, but you also got to listen to it and make sure it's in the best condition possible.
When you talk to athletes sometimes, they talk about the road to recovery being as tough mentally as it is physically. Is that true?
Oh, definitely. I'd almost say that the mental side of it is even harder, and that's something that I've really started focusing on now, that I didn't focus on earlier in my playing career. And it's like now, it's like one of my biggest advantages, I'd think, is my mental game and how dialed in it is. Like, I got some books, and we've got a great mental performance coach in Brian Ouellette, and he's helped me a ton on kind of, you know, that, like, being mentally dialed in so that, you can get better from nicks and bruises, as well as just focusing on playing and being your best in the moment.
You've had a lot of best moments this season with the Saskatchewan Huskies, put together a solid season. Tell me about how you felt within the Cody Halseth defense that is new, old to the program?
Yeah, it's been amazing. I mean, we've moved from the 3-down with kind of like the flex linebacker that I played a little bit to like a real 4-down, 4 D linemen on the field. And I mean, as a D lineman, I'm never gonna complain about having more of my boys out there with me. And you know, the 2 guys behind us is Seth and Goldie. Like, it's been electric. Like, I love it, and yeah, I wouldn't trade for anything.
Charlie Parks is joining us, and we were having the opportunity in Ryderville last week to watch the Saskatchewan Huskies play in the Mitchell Bowl against Queens. One of the things that was mentioned right off the hop watching the game, oh boy, is that Huskies defense physical. I can see you smiling already. That must be a calling card.
Yeah, that was right at the start of our fall camp. We met as a defense upstairs at our clubhouse, and we were just kind of like, what do we want to be our things? What do we want to be known for? And we wanted to be known for being physical, being violent, and having fun. Was our top 3, and those top 3 have been put on the whiteboard at the start of every week. And you know, for people to be noticing that's our thing is exactly what we want. We want to be known as the most physical unit, the most violent unit that looks like they're just having fun all the time.
That's not easy, though, is it?
Definitely not easy. Definitely not easy. We got plenty of battle scars from doing it, and but I mean, it gets easier as you put it on tape. In a way, it's as you feel like people know you as the most physical unit. It gets easier to be that most physical unit because that's just who you are. There's no other road to take.
You mentioned tape, Charlie Parks. So let's talk about tape and what you've had to do the last 2 weeks in preparing for an opponent you physically haven't seen and have to rely and trust in what your coaches and you see with your eyeballs on tape from Queens and now Montreal. How difficult is that?
It's something for sure. I mean, we were honestly lucky enough to have it kind of in like a light fashion with the University of Alberta in the first week because they were full new coaching staff, bunch of new personnel. We had no tape from their preseason game, so we were flying pretty blind into that one as well. So it was nice to kind of have that precursor, but yeah, like, you know, luckily for like last week with the OUA, like the OUA ball is very, very different than Can West ball. So you're looking at it and it's difficult to see yourself doing what you're going to do against those offenses. But we're lucky enough with an RSEQ opponent that the RSEQ is it's super similar to the Canada West. The way that their defenses play, they play physical, they play tough, they play downhill on things. So it's easier to see yourself in that spot watching RSEQ film than it is watching OUA film. So I think we're definitely dialed in, pretty well prepared.
This sounds like a carbon copy conversation to one that I had almost a week ago to the day with former Saskatchewan Husky Nick Weeb, now with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. We talked about the opportunity to play in a championship game and making sure that you don't make it bigger than it is. Has that conversation been had with the University of Saskatchewan Huskies?
Almost yes and no. That's a conversation that we have at the start of the year, and it's with this team. It's nice because everybody buys into it, so you can trust that everybody else is feeling the same thing. It kind of goes without saying that don't make the game bigger than it is. Like we're not here because of lucky bounces. We're not here because somebody else crapped the bed when they were playing us. We're here because we earned it, and we're here because we deserve it. And so just knowing that and believing in that, knowing everybody else believes in that, just helps you keep it a game. It's just a game that we're playing.
There have been eyes on you this season from Canadian Football League teams, whether you are aware of that or not. I guess I should ask, are you aware of that, and does that add any pressure to you this year?
I assumed that there were, but it doesn't add any pressure. At the end of the day, they're going to want me for me, and that's what I'm going to put on tape. There's no kind of other version of Charlie Parks that's going to come out in front of the scouts that you're not just going to see play in, play out. That's I'm the guy. I'm me. I'm going to be me.
Okay, before you go then, what's it going to take for you to be you and the rest of your team to come away with that Vanier Cup victory?
Like I said, it's just it's the same three goals that we put on the board at the start of the year. We got to be physical. We got to be violent. We got to have fun, because the only you don't win games when you're down on each other. You don't win games when you're getting angry. You don't win games when you're getting smacked around. So we got to go out there. We have to be what we've been all year. We have to be the most physical team on the field, and we have to have the most fun on the field.
Charlie Parks, appreciate your time. Go get them.
Thank you.
There you go, Charlie Parks with the University of Saskatchewan Huskies, of course, Regina-born native, and looking forward to the game on Saturday when they take on the University of Montreal. Joining us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline, the Greek-style pizza that's become famous around the world, plus all the Greek and Canadian food you can't get enough of. Western Pizza, the local legend. The Thursday edition of the Sports Cage rolls on after 5 o'clock. We'll hear from TSN analyst Glen Suitor. We're going to talk some university football, and boy, some big changes could be coming in Toronto. Details coming up on that. The Thursday edition brought to you by Access Communications, trusted in rural Saskatchewan for internet, TV, and home security. Your news coming up but not before we take a trip out to Leroy and Cody Glyden. No need for the Coke check tonight here at the Connexus Arts Center. I'm Dave Thomas. Tegan Whitco joining us. The final hour of the Sports Cage is here, streaming at sportscage.com, and of course across Saskatchewan at 620ckrm.com. Lots to get to. Still an update on the Regina Pats and their U.S. Division road trip. We're going to talk SJHL. The new power rankings are out. You can see them at sportscage.com. Benny Walchuk going to drop in with your SJHL report before we get to 6 o'clock. That is coming up as well. I promised the answer to our trivia question from earlier today. Yes, we're here at the USports Football Awards Banquet. The Vanier Cup goes on Saturday. The question, the University of Saskatchewan Huskies, the last Saskatchewan team to win a Vanier Cup. Members of that team from 1998 won multiple Grey Cups. We've eliminated Scott Flory. We talked about Warren Musica, but there was one that was left standing that's won multiple Grey Cups. You don't have to answer. We gave out clues, been a Sports Cage guest numerous times.
Ooh.
Don't have to worry about it. Well,
are you giving away the answer right now?
Not right now.
Oh, okay. Then I better not guess.
No.
What if I get it right, Dave?
Do
I win something?
Chance. You win a free trip to nowhere at the end of your life. Congratulations. That's the budget we've got here.
It's a terrible prize.
Hey, speaking of budget, it's time to go on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. Of course, it's the pizza that's known worldwide for a reason, loaded with toppings of Western Canadian ingredients and always cooked to perfection. Let's talk football. Let's head to Suits.
Time now for press coverage with CFL and Saskatchewan Roughrider legend Glen Suitor on the Sports Cage. Brought to you by Bronco Plumbing and Heating, where professional service is guaranteed. They'll treat you right. 781-2090.
Last look, 6 degrees here in Regina. Glen Suitor sporting the University of Saskatchewan Huskies hat.
Attaboy.
Getting set for some football. I don't know, is this the first time that we can say on November the 20th it's nicer in Regina than it is in Vancouver?
Yeah, probably. Absolutely. Yeah. And you guys look like you're in a really nice setup there. You got the red carpet behind you. It's beautiful. It looks like it's going to be quite the night. So I'm kicking myself for not booking my return flight from Winnipeg to stop in Regina, go to the Vanier, and then go home after. I'm really kicking myself for this because I would love to watch that game live.
A lot of people are starting to stream into Regina. There's still tickets available for the game. It's rush seating. Tickets start as low as $20, and so no bad seats, right? Because you pick it yourself. So it's going to be a good time here on Saturday. We've been having a good time, as a matter of fact, Glen Suitor from TSN, all week long. It was like we were partying like it was 1989, I think. What was that Grey Cup celebration like?
Yeah, partying like it was 13, 07, or 89.
Or all combined.
Yeah, we'll combine them all. It's surreal. And back then there was such a gap between the 66 Cup and the 89 Cup. I mean, we're talking kids that, weren't born and then, grew up with the team that struggled for a long time. I don't even want to bring it up because, I don't want to see any repeats of it. But, there was a song that was created called 11 That's Enough, because we never made the playoffs for 11 straight years. And, I wasn't part of all 11, but I do remember the tail end of that and how difficult it really was, and how the fans had to endure just year after year of struggling teams and changing coaching staffs and, just all of the struggles that you go through when you're trying to figure out the formula. And once it happened, it was for the fans. That 89 Cup was 100% for the fans. And I heard, Trevor and AJ with you guys, and I know Trevor, I'm sure he feels the same way about, how important the fan base is when you're in this community and you're going through the grocery store and people are coming up and saying hi and people are, talking about it and wanting to know what's going on. And, there's highs and lows in that. But as you go through, you realize that they do it because they care so much. They've invested so much. They're passionate about their team. And then when you win it, you just want to hand the cup to every one of those fans right after and say, you're part of this, you're part of this journey. And so that's why I'm really happy for them. And I saw the great turnout, and you're seeing it on the stream now. It's beautiful weather and they got to celebrate. And like Trevor said, maybe for the first time in the franchise's history, they can go after another one.
So was there cuss words being tossed out when you celebrated in '89? Because depending on who you ask here in Saskatchewan, Glenn, that's the first time that we've ever seen swearing at a Grey Cup parade.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't remember if there was. I'm sure there was. I mean, when I think about some of the guys we had on that team, then it was hard to believe that they couldn't, that was completely clean all the time. I don't think it's a big thing, really. Like, I get it. I mean, you can always turn to your child and say, that's a bad word. We've talked about it before. And I know that they are role models, but I don't think it's a big thing. They're celebrating. I think if you turn on any of the streaming services now and watch pretty much any show now, you're going to hear pretty much every cuss word that you heard on the celebration.
Oh, man, they've heard way worse on the playground.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to live with it. Mom and Dad will straighten that out with the kids.
Obviously haven't been around me when I'm trying to fix a clogged drain, right? Like, obviously.
But what of the actual, stories that have been floating around Saskatchewan, and I think right across the CFL this week, Glenn, is really just what is in Trevor Harris's future? He's alluded to the fact that he wants to go for it again. That's not obviously official or anything like that. But what do you think is going through his mind right now? Take us into that mindset of all these reporters coming at you asking that big question. Are you going to retire? Are you going to go for one more?
Yeah, he has to make the decision based on a few factors. One is going to be his family. He's a tremendous father and family man, so that'll be the first priority. Is his family okay with another season, and all that entails? So that's the first discussion, I'm sure. And then he's got to make the personal decision about whether or not he can physically and mentally be all in. It sounds like, based on what he's been saying throughout the celebration here, it sounds like he is ready to do that. Like, it feels like that stage is almost like a yes, you can check that box, because you can't put one foot in and say, I'm kind of, you know what, I'll go for another year, but I'm not really committed, but let's see how it turns out. You just can't do that. You can't do that at this level. You can't do that with this game in particular. It's too physical a game to be half in. So, and Trevor knows that. So those will be the big decision makers. I know for me it was a different scenario, because I had, through, working outside of football, I had, discussed things with TSN, and we had talked. I had done an audition for them in the off season. I was ready to play 3 or 4 more years. In my mind, I was in to play 3 or 4 more years. And then on a Friday, I got a call from TSN saying, hey, we have 20 games for you. You'd have to retire, obviously. And we need to know by Monday. So, yeah. And well, guys, when I did the audition, it was a month earlier in the middle of the off season, because I thought, and we had discussed, TSN and I had discussed, that this would be an audition that they'd keep for future, like 3-4 years down the road. And I said, because that's how much longer I want to play. So first call I made was to Al Ford at the time, and asked him and told him what was on the table. And, he was fantastic. I still remember vividly what that conversation sounded like, because I was going crazy. That was 72 hours of zero sleep, where and my wife was hilarious, because I said, what do you think we should do? And she goes, I am not going there at all. Whatever you decide, I will support you, but there is no way I'm going to give you my opinion on this until you've made a decision. But Al Ford called, and when I talked to him, he was fantastic, and he said, Glenn, you're our safety. You're going to be our free safety. If you come back, you're our free safety. So don't think you're coming back to try and make the team or whatever. You're our starting free safety, but everybody faces this decision at some point in their career. And you have to look at the future. You can only play so long, but whatever you decide, we'll be fine as a team. We'll be able to find a guy, and we'll be fine as a team. So it was good to know that I wasn't letting anyone down. And it was also good to know that, Al, whether it's true or not, Al was saying, hey, you're our guy, so don't worry about that. And after looking at the ceiling all night long for 2 straight nights, I thought, and this will probably be part of the Trevor discussion. I thought the 89 championship season was really what determined it for me. I thought, the TSN opportunity may not be there down the road, but that's a risk I was willing to take. I still passionately wanted to play 3 more years, maybe 4. I felt great physically. And because we won in 89, and I kept looking at that ring saying, you know what, this is why you do it. This was accomplished. That team, I was part of that team that accomplished this championship. That's kind of like the dream come true, so you can maybe move on with your life in another direction. And that's why it came down to that for me. It was the fact that we had won really was the determining factor for me. And I'm sure it will be part of the decision for Trevor, but it sounds like he wants to come back, and I think he should. I think he should. When you're completing 85% in the Grey Cup, Come on back. You're still playing at the highest level the game can have.
Glenn, this may sound ridiculous from my side of the conversation, but obviously you had to make the decision. As you mentioned yourself, you've had teammates who've had to make the decision. How important is controlling the narrative of that decision to athletes? For example, I want to walk away as opposed to I'm told to walk away.
Yeah, I don't know. I think personally, Dave, when I think back to that time when I was making the decision, that really never came into it for me. It wasn't like I'm so I have so much pride, personal pride, that I want to walk away before they cut me. I remember every single training camp, every coach that we had, and there were a bunch of them, but every coach that we had would ask the same question: how many people in this room, on the very first day, he would say, how many people in this room have ever been cut before? And pretty much the entire room would put their hand up, that at one time in their journey, they have been cut from a team. So, I don't think, first of all, Trevor doesn't have to worry about that, because
no,
I know the organization is going to want him back. And it'll be the same probably kind of Al Ford call, which will be, hey, you're our guy. You're our guy, and we can work out the numbers, but we want you back for another year, another run. And, I'm sure there'll be a lot of players. And here's the one thing about it, guys, with the free agents that come up, because the list is so long now. Rather than go through different players that you'd love to have back, I would just say there's an overall philosophy with free agency that's important from an organization's point of view. Make sure you make those calls. Make sure, because players want to believe that they're wanted. And the money is going to be, maybe it's different, maybe there's a better offer somewhere, but when you break it all down with taxes and everything, boy, I wouldn't make a decision based on an extra 10 grand or 5 grand or 20 grand or whatever. I just wouldn't make a decision based on that. And so, but if an organization doesn't call you and they say, well, we'll wait, we'll see what happens in free agency, and then we do want the guy back, but we'll call him later on in the process, that player is halfway gone already, honestly. So, and I know the organization, if Corey Mace has anything to do with this, and he will, he's going to call these guys. He'll call every one of them and say, hey, even if you don't want to negotiate yet, we want you back. And you know who is the best example of that? Justin McInnes. Justin McInnes got a call from Vancouver and from some of the players and management, and he said, you know what? They really want me. I'm going there.
We're here at the USports Awards Gala at the Connexus Arts Center. Glen Suitor, of course, it is press coverage for Bronco Plumbing and Heating. When professional service is guaranteed, they'll treat you right. 781-2090. I mentioned you're wearing your U of S Huskies hat. I know how much of your time you have given to that program in Saskatoon at the Dog's Breakfast. Tell me about USports, because is it one of the, I don't want to say secret gems of our country, but boy, I tell you, there's a lot of people that haven't discovered the quality of play there yet.
It's great football.
Yeah, it is. It's exciting games, great football, great athletes that are more and more pro ready every single year, by the way, when it comes to the draft and things like that. But, I don't know. I can tell you from a TSN perspective that the people in the trenches and management that is in charge of football in general, we really wanted the USport package. Like I didn't sit in the official meetings, but I did hear through our guys in the truck, our producers on the road, and how much we wanted that. And USports sort of made the decision, the direction that they wanted to go. And I'm not disparaging anyone else that's covered the league, but I know we wanted to package it with the Canadian Football League, have the Vanier Cup in the same weekend. We wanted to do a feature game of the week, like U of R versus U of S, and there's lots of rivalries across USports. We wanted to do sort of a feature game, have our panel members and broadcasters like myself be part of all of those telecasts in an effort to sort of, bring more of that, not celebrity. I don't even know what that word means, but you know what I mean? Like just bring some credibility to it, some pro credibility to it. And we really wanted to work on that package. So maybe one day, I think the sentiment is still true that our guys would love to sort of package it together with football in our country. And before long, we're going to be adding flag football to that discussion.
Yeah.
Here in Saskatchewan, I think you would have a lot of cheerleaders, because we have had one heck of a year when it comes to Saskatchewan football, right? I mean, like, you have the Huskies that are now in Regina playing in this Vanier Cup, the Hilltops victorious, the Valkyries victorious. The Riders just won the dang great cup. So I think there would be a lot of support here for that one, Glenn. But we are in for quite the matchup tomorrow. Anything that just sticks out to you? Anything that jumps off the page in this matchup?
Well, I just want a special shout out to Anton and how this has been an entire province rallying around him and rallying around his family as he, is getting into his battle. And I'm sure his teammates. This is the part that sort of transcends the game, and whether they win or lose, one thing that the Huskies are going to give every ounce of everything they have. All their passion, all their strength, all their speed, everything they've got, they're going to give it because, they've had a teammate that they're playing for that's going to be watching. I think, it's going to inspire every one of those guys. Sometimes you still don't win the game. Sometimes, it's a fumble at the wrong time, or it's a field goal that, walk off, and you just don't quite get there as far as the scoreboard. But one thing, the Huskies are going to give it everything they got. First of all, they got a great program, and Scott has been outstanding. He was that way as a player, and he is as a coach now. And I feel like a family member of the entire university and the football program, because it's been so many years of going up. And this year was with Luke, that it was joined our telecast throughout the season, was the guest speaker. Luke Wilson. So, I wish him all the best. I'm thinking about Anton and hoping that, he gets well real quick. And let's go Huskies. Let's go, man.
They might be flashing a lot of 11s on the field Saturday at Mosaic Stadium, that's for sure.
Yeah, real cool. Just maybe to add to that, there is a GoFundMe that has been set up for Anton and his family. It's over $64,000 in a week, so it's kind of Saskatchewan and what we do. And I know this won't surprise you, Glenn, but the Saskatchewan Roughriders are actually working with the Huskies to see if there is any way that Anton can come to the game this weekend, that they'll do everything that they can to get him from Saskatoon here to Regina. But I guess one last thought before we let you go. I teased it. The idea that your former teammate may become the head coach in Toronto and Kent Austin, your reaction, and is it a possibility?
Oh, I heard he's on their list. No question about that. And it seems like it's a good time for him personally, and a good time for him professionally, because he's out of work right now. So it looks like he'll be a front runner. Now that doesn't mean it's a done deal, but it looks like he'll be a front runner. I mean, Kent knows the quarterback position. He knows the game. If I was playing devil's advocate, he was always a great teammate. He's won a championship. All of those things are what you look for as an organization. He knows Toronto, been there before as well. So, all of that sort of is on the yes, he'll be the guy side of the conversation. If I was going to play devil advocate on the other side, it would be that Corey Mace, Ryan Dinwiddie, they have been examples of young guys coming through and they become coordinators. And then those young guys finally get their chance to become head coaches. And those two examples, wow, look at their success rate. Corey Mace, championship in year 2. Ryan Dinwiddie, 2 championships in the last 3 years. He's off to Ottawa now. I mean, the guy that has gone through and had been around for 10, 15 years, doesn't have to have been an ex-player, but that helps. And going through and becoming a position coach and then a coordinator and then getting his opportunity to run a team, that model has worked well of late. So, if I'm playing devil's advocate on that may be something that they're looking at, and looking at that list of names. But Kent Austin is sure... He checks a lot of boxes, for sure.
Well, Glenn, I know you'll be cheering loud in Vancouver for the Saskatchewan Huskies this weekend. We thank you once again for your time. Amazing job at the Grey Cup. It was fun just following around in your shadows last week in Winnipeg, and what a win for the ages.
Well, I don't know about that, Dick, but thank you so much. And you too. I don't get a lot of time to hear you guys with your call, because obviously I'm working at the same time. But I did catch a few quarters and things like that here and there, and you guys did a fantastic job. So congratulations to you guys too, again, to the entire city. And let's make it like 3 in a row: junior football, pro football, and now college football. Let's go. Got to win it.
There you go.
Let's do it. Thanks,
Glen Suitor and pressed coverage. See, I had to say I was following Glenn and not Luke because it would keep me out of trouble that way, right? Just so you know. Of course, Glen Suitor joining us on the Western Pizza guest hotline. We need to take a break. We'll go back on that hotline and get to your SJHL report. Your sports ticker is still to come, as well. We'll tell you what happened with the Regina Pats last night in Spokane. It's all on the way here on the Sports Cage, streaming at sportscage.com, and, of course, live on 620 CKRM.
Come on, Dave.
Sports ticker. You said there's a sports ticker. Oh, yeah, there's sports going on tonight. Of course, we're live here at the Connections Arts Center. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. The sports ticker is brought to you by Steelcraft Local Ponds tonight. Of course, we've got some Prairie Junior Hockey League action out in Fort Qu'Appelle. The Fort Knox, of course, they are defending champions, taking on the Regina Silver Foxes. Under 18 AAA boys action tonight. Swift Current Legionnaires are in Saskatoon to play the Blazers across the city. The Saskatoon Contacts are welcoming the Prince Albert Mintos. The National Hockey League has got 12 games on the docket tonight, including the Edmonton Oilers. I know Oilers fans are going to hate me. I keep saying it. The Oilers have not won in regulation since October the 28th. They're in Tampa Bay after a setback in Washington last night. Meantime, the Washington Capitals try to extend their win streak in Montreal. Toronto's home to Columbus, Dallas at Vancouver, and Anaheim taking on Ottawa. Week 12 of the NFL season will kick off tonight with the Buffalo Bills taking on the Houston Texans, which leads us to our sprinkle of the day.
Yeah, so if you want to get in on the sports action, of course, sportsselect.com. You can make your picks online. It'll give you a QR code. You go into your local lotto spot retailer and play. Or you can do it the old-fashioned way. You can still fill out the little slips, right? It's still kind of fun. Plus, the little pencils are great. Every bet is 100% legal with a chance of winning cash in hand. Sports Select. When you're ready to play, bet on the original. Must be 18 plus, and please play responsibly. You can also look at futures. We'll get to that in a second, though. Dave, I know you've been talking a lot about the Edmonton Oilers today. Let's talk about a different Canadian team people love to hate in Toronto. Toronto versus the Jackets. So Columbus, Toronto. In Toronto, who do you think is the favorite here?
Well, Toronto just broke up their losing streak with a win the other night. And I'm just not sold on what they can do. I don't know where Austin Matthews is. But then again, they're in Toronto. You have to take the Leafs at home, don't you?
Well, if you're looking at sportselect.com right now, as you can see on the stream at sportscage.com and our YouTube, well, it looks like, in fact, Toronto is the favorite by half a point.
Yeah, so go with Toronto.
Okay, and then over-under is 6. Now, futures, you can obviously look way far in advance. Like if you wanted to place something on the Stanley Cup at the end of the season, you can already look at the odds for that. Super Bowl, NBA Final, NCAA, soccer, NASCAR, more. And right away, I'm sure we'll be able to bet on the 2026 Grey Cup. I know who I'm taking.
Good point.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see how the roster shapes up as well. But that is your sprinkle of the day for Sports Select.
All right. On the Prairie Land Rentals text line at 306-936-6262. We've had a little competition going all day long. Paul Waldo is the latest guest that we've got, and Paul Waldo is not the answer. And I know you're saying, Dave, maybe you should give the question first. Well,
that might be a good idea.
The question that we asked today was the Vanier Cup. We're here at the Awards Gala at Connexus Arts Center. The Vanier Cup will be played on Saturday. The last time a Saskatchewan team that won the Vanier Cup was the Saskatchewan Huskies. In 1998, members of that team went on to win Grey Cups and multiple Grey Cups. We've identified Warren Musica and Scott Flory. We wanted to know the other one, who is a frequent guest on the Sports Cage.
See, I'm still going to call inaudible because I was 4 years old. So.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Makes me feel better about not having an answer for you, Dave.
Okay. Well, the answer, actually, we've got a number of people that are in on the answer. The answer is Kelly Bates. Would win one and break the cup, as a matter of fact, with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
All right. If you're going to do it, go all in.
Yeah. BC Lions as well, played there a number of years. He spent part of 2010 with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So Kelly Bates, the answer today on the text line. Tomorrow, we are going to do this entirely differently. It's a weekend, and we're just going to go ahead and fly it out there. We'll have trivia throughout the afternoon.
But it's not going to be easy.
No, it won't. There's going to be a
based on that reaction, you're going to have to
prize on the line.
Dig deep into the old brain bucket there.
How about we talk about not being easy? It's a tough road trip for the Regina Pats. They opened it up in Spokane last night against a very tough Spokane Chiefs team. They fell 3-2. The Chiefs got an early goal and then kind of start to build the lead before Regina battles back in the third period. The Pats have played the league-leading number of games that are one-goal games. That's 11 already this season.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on that lengthy road trip in America right now. So they got a tough test in front of them for the rest of the week. Pardon me.
Absolutely, they do. And, of course, they're back on the ice against Tri-City tomorrow night, a game you'll hear on 620 CKRM with Dante DeCaria and his call. Game time, I believe, is 9 o'clock with the time change.
Yes, and then back-to-back for them, too. So they're in Tri-City on Friday, and then they hop on the bus and they go to Seattle for the next night.
Yeah, so... Again, I'm a Saskatchewan guy. I don't do time change, but it all seems to work out in the end. Speaking of hockey, though, we've got to get to your SJHL report. We're going to wrap things up here from the Connexus Arts Center momentarily. Hang tight. Benny Walchuk is going to join us just around the corner. This is the Sports Cage, streaming at sportscage.com and at 620 CKRM. Back on your Thursday edition of the Sports Cage, I'm Dave Thomas. Boy, I tell you, it's starting to fill up fast here at the Connexus Arts Center as we prepare for the USports Football Awards. They will be handed out a little bit later this evening. But before we are done for the day, it's time to talk hockey. And in specific, it's the SJHL Report, brought to you by Chad Reach, Senior Wealth Advisor, GP Financial Services, and Aviso Wealth. If you need a second opinion on your retirement plan, Chad and his local team are available for a no-obligation meeting. Benny Walchuk joins us on the line, the voice of the Yorkton Terriers, Melville Millionaires, and more. Of course, the guest hotline for Western Pizza, the pizza known worldwide for a reason. Benny, I don't want you to get too hungry, so I'm going to stop there, but let's sink our teeth into some SJHL hockey. The SJHL Power Rankings, you've compiled them. They're out. What do they say?
It's once again a change atop the leaderboard. You got the Kindersley Clippers for the first time. They're atop the leaderboard, and you look at their standings right now. They've played the most games in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. And what stands out for me is they played 11 overtime games so far. Yes, we're not even halfway through the season. They've already played 11 games into overtime. They've got points, or they've lost actually 7 of those, 5 in the shootout. So maybe haven't had success, but they are getting points. And when you look down the stretch later in the season, you know how those points are crucial as you battle for playoff positioning. You got teams like Humboldt had a little bit of a stumble on the weekend, dropping a couple of games, so they dropped a little bit. Weyburn held steady at number 2. And then you have a team like the Flin Flon Bombers who are back at home. They played, I think, 9 or 10 of their first 11 and away from the Whitney Farm. So they're back at home for the month of November, and they've played some very good hockey. Had a big sweep this past weekend over the Humboldt Broncos. So they're up a couple of spots. And then you had 2 teams that have, or a team for sure in the Yorkton Terriers that maybe have dropped just because they haven't played. They had a good road trip last week, but they haven't played in 11 days. So they'll be back at it here this weekend. So plenty of parity once again. If you look at the standings, not much separates them. And even a team like the Warman Wolverines, who won 2 games this past week and had upset the Flin Flon Bombers on Tuesday night. So any given night, anybody can beat when that's what makes the SJHL so special, Dave.
Benny Walchuk, this is the SJHL Report. First, before we delve into those power rankings, how about we talk a little bit about the schedule? Because I know that there have been teams that do get the 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-day breaks. Is that a league initiative? Is that a building availability initiative? Is that just is that a scheduling quirk? How does that happen?
A little bit of both, I think it is. Of course, Yorkton had the Harvest Showdown, which is an indoor rodeo and an agricultural show with PBR and everything like that. So they had to be out of their ring for 2.5, 3 weeks. So they couldn't schedule any home games in that span. They did go on a 4-game road trip, but to find road games, you got to have 2 to tangle kind of thing for the road trip. So they were off for a little bit. That's actually their second 11-day break. So sometime is stadium availability. Of course, Malville's going to be hosting the provincial men's and women's curling championships happening in January. So they'll be out of their rink for 2.5 weeks as well. So they'll have to play away from the road on that stretch. And yeah, it's one of those things. A lot of it is teams trying to play on certain days, possibly. Like a lot of teams want to play on weekends, Fridays, Saturdays for the gates, and you get more butts in the seats. And then the second thing is the biggest part is is stadium availability. Yorkton has plenty of minor hockey happening. They have a AAA team. They have girls AA programs. They have lots of hockey here in the area to fill the arena. So it's one of those things. Yorkton Terriers do get top priority, but still, a lot of kids have to play, and it's only so much ice surfaces here in Yorkton.
What's going on in Yorkton, Benny? I thought you said 2 to tango. I thought it was either the polka or 2-step in Yorkton. Am I never mind. Sorry, different conversation. Let's talk about the Kindersley Clippers then. 11 overtime games played this season. So taking a game to extra time is a skill. Obviously, you'd love to get the 2 points in regulation, but what does that say about the Kindersley Clippers? What have you seen from them with 31 points in 23 games?
Yeah, I think it's just a team that's it's hard to play against. One of the maybe most underrated players in the league right now is Avery Johnson. He hasn't been talked about a whole lot, but you look at his stats, he's got 30 points in 23 games. 5 of those goals have come on the power play, and their power play is outstanding. They did get a little bit of a boost when the Millionaires had an off night, and they went 8 for 10 on the power play just over a month ago. But they're a team, they're very, very stingy, like to be in your face type of thing, and good goaltending. Brett O'Halloran is a very, very good netminder in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. He's got an 8-3 record right now with a .920 save percentage out of Calgary in his second season. He was a Rookie of the Year finalist last year, and he's the guy that doesn't let a lot of pucks in. So if you play good defensively, like the Kindersley Clippers have, and you get good goaltending, good things can happen. And up and down scoring, you don't see a lot of guys. You have Avery Johnson up at 30, but the rest of the way there's guys 2 or 3 points separated. So it's a balanced hockey club that's just playing some good hockey. I'm sure Kyle Schneider, the head coach there, is going to want a little bit more results in the extra time. But so like we talked about at the top, getting points early on this season is crucial.
Benny Walchuk in the SJHL report continues here in the Sports Cage. And okay, Kindersley, again, the other number that jumps off the page. Yeah, they played 23 games, so more than anyone else in the league. They actually, Weyburn's in second with 4 games in hand, but 539 penalty minutes. That is the definition of a team that's tough to play against, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You have a team, and Malville's up there in the standings, so you want to be tough to play against. You want to play on that edge a little bit as well, and Kindersley's doing a pretty decent job on the PK so far this season. So if you're going to take a lot of those penalties, you got to make sure you'll be able to kill those penalties off. And you look at their penalty kill, which is 82% on the season, the upper echelon of the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. And you look at a team like Malville, who's took a lot of penalty minutes as well, but they're at the bottom, and that's the biggest thing. If you're going to take some penalties or play on that edge and go over a little bit, you're going to make sure you're able to kill those penalties. And you see Kindersley's at the top with a very good penalty kill, despite taking the penalties. Millionaires towards the bottom right now this season, taking all those penalties. So special teams is a big factor if you're going to play on that edge.
Have you figured out the Estevan Bruins yet? First 10 games, they're a game over 500 essentially. Now in their last 10, they're 6-3-1. They've won, or I guess are unbeaten in their last 3. What is the team that is the Estevan Bruins?
Yeah, it's kind of a Jekyll and Hyde team. Like you said, they play very good. They had a great game just earlier this week against the Laurent Ice Wolves, and they're a team that when their top guys are going, they'll have success. Ewan Rennie's had a good start to his season with 34 points in 20 games, and then acquisitions like Ryland Williams, Colton Getzlaff, they got from Battlefords in the off season. They're stepping in. So it's one of those things. This is more of maybe a top heavy team compared to Kindersley, which is more balanced. He's there if the good guys are going, which they have been the last couple of weeks. Like Ryland Williams has got 2 Saskatchewan-born players of the week already this season. So it's a team that's scoring a lot of goals when they can, and also getting some good goaltending. So it's a team that's probably still Drew Kosher still kind of tinkering with that roster to find its identity, but they're playing much better here hockey as of late, and maybe exceeding expectations early on than maybe Drew even hoped.
Benny Walchuk on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. It's the SJHL Report, and they've told me in the Western Hockey League for years that when you get to the American Thanksgiving, you know exactly who your team are and what they are. Is that the same in the SJHL, and are there any surprises or teams that you think that aren't satisfied with who and what they are?
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely is. That December 1st. There used to be a December 1st roster deadline. They don't have that right now, but that's kind of where maybe teams will start maybe moving on with some of their older players. And a team like that is the Malville Millionaires, a team that's, I know you're talking to Doug Johnson earlier this week. They think they could have won 5 or 6 more games. It just either a tough mistake or maybe didn't get a save or didn't get that timely goal. So I know they're still right in there, a couple of points back of a playoff spot right now, but they think they should be maybe 13, 14 wins in the season right now and towards the top end of the Buggy division. So their team may be under Manning right now and maybe underappreciated with their efforts so far this season. Malford Mustangs, of course, the 2-time defending champions. You knew there would be a little bit of a championship hangover with the amount of talent they lost, and they currently sit with 18 points in the season towards the bottom half of the standings. They do have played the less games in the league at 17, but that's a team still trying to tinker with their roster as well, and they don't really have that top line that they've had the last couple of years, so they're going to have to score by committee, and that scoring just hasn't come. So those are 2 ton of teams that have stood out for me right now in the standings. Nipawin team had a great start. They're a little bit stumble here as of late. But, yeah, those are 2, Malville and probably Melford, are the 2 teams right now that are probably kind of seeing where they're at. Are they think they have a good team now and just not getting the results, or or is it a team that we have to tinker with our roster to here so early in the season trying to get back on track? So it's very interesting to see. I know there's been some couple of moves in the SJHL already. I don't think we'll see lots here before Christmas, but we'll see what happens here before that roster freeze in the middle of December.
Well, a couple of other roster stories, Benny, that we should talk about here on the SJHL Report. First and foremost, tell me about the Viking Cup.
Yeah, the Viking Cup is an initiative. It's an event that happened nearly 20 years ago. It started, and it was an event that was ran from 1980 to 2006, which brought university, college, junior, U18 national teams from across the world to Camrose, Alberta. So you look at the names that have been part of it. Henrik Lundqvist, everybody knows who he is. Dominic Hasek, Joe Pavelski, of course, a great American player. He all played in the Viking Cup, and it's going to be returned here in 2025 in Camrose around December 27th to January 4th at the Encana Center there in Camrose, and they'll feature a team from Czechia, a team from the down south, the Midland University Warriors, and of course 2 ACAC teams, the State Trojans and Augustana Vikings. And then the SJHL will be sending a U20 All-Star team, so comprised of teams or players that are born in 2005, 2006, and it'll kind of be a showcase for them, not only to have a chance to win the Viking Cup, but also showcase themselves through some ACAC schools. I'm sure there will be some USports teams there as well, possibly some NCAA teams as well with the new rules that anybody can go down south of the border, and who knows, maybe some pro scouts is there as well. So it's kind of a showcase for them. Timing of it maybe not ideal for some players who have played a lot of hockey. I know most of them will be returning back to their teams there in December 27th to January 4th, but also some teams are going to be back playing as well, so you're going to lose your guy maybe for a couple of games. So I think it's going to be a decision for some players if they want to take part in this, or to go back to their teams and maybe enjoy a little bit of a longer break if they do have a break down the Christmas time. So it's an event it's great to have initiative and exposure for the teams, and we'll see what kind of roster should be announced here at the middle of December.
And Benny, before we let you go on the SJHL Report, the Canada West roster, tell me about the event and what we can expect, or maybe an insight into who we should expect on that roster.
Yeah, of course, the 2025 World Junior A Challenge will be taking place later this year, next month down east. And, of course, the Western All-Star Showcase between the SJHL and MJHL took place earlier this month, late last month in Martinsville, and a chance for those U18 players, U19 players to have a chance to compete for spots. And the roster should be announced next week for Canada West, and they're pretty tight-lipped there, Hockey Canada. They don't want to release, but looks my inklings things, so maybe a handful of Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League players will be named to the roster, a couple older guys maybe on the back end, and a few young guys up front as well. So it's a roster that's, of course, with the head coach Trevor Blevins and Carter Hansen, who's going to be a part of that coaching staff as well. They know what guys are in the SJHL, which is great for the league to have maybe a little bit more SJHL players than we have had in the past. So, yes, Team Canada West roster will be announced sometime next week, and you can expect probably a handful of SJHL players able to don the Maple Leaf, which is always special to wear that Hockey Canada jersey at a world event. And once again, that event will take place next month down east.
There's not much better than a chill in the air and Benny Walchuk on the radio. Where are we going to hear your broadcast?
This weekend will be, of course, the Highway 10 battle will be on tap Friday nights as the Millionaires take on the Yorkton Terriers. So we'll get that cattle smell coming out of the Westland Arena after the rodeo earlier this month for the Harvest Showdown. But the two teams battle. They split their season series at Thanksgiving time, and they're always, like I said, Yorkton hasn't played for quite a while. Malva's trying to get back on track, and it should be a good weekend of hockey here. Down Highway 10, weather's going to be great, so hopefully everybody makes it out to the arena on Friday in Yorkton and Saturday night at the CN Community Center in Melville.
Let's just throw this for instance out. For instance, the game is over and there's some music playing, Benny. Which are we most likely to see from you? A two-step, a polka, or a tango?
Oh, probably a two-step or polka. I'm not sure which one. Probably a polka. I'm more of a polka guy, but I've learned over the years going to a lot of cabarets and Ukrainian weddings in my day that I've learned how to two-step as well. So either of those, probably not a tango for me, no.
They would have kicked you out of Yorkton and Melville if you didn't know how to two-step, Benny.
Exactly.
Thanks for your time on the SJHL Report.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
Benny Walchuk, the voice of the Yorkton Terriers and Melville Millionaires on your SJHL Report. Brought to you by Chad Reach, Senior Wealth Advisor, GP Financial Services, and Aviso Wealth. If you need a second opinion on your retirement plan, Chad and his local team are available for a no-obligation meeting. That'll take care of it for today on the Sports Cage. Again, thanks to all of our guests, AJ Ouellette, Trevor Harris, the members of the Saskatchewan Huskies, and of course, Benny Walchuk and the SJHL Report, not to mention press coverage with Glen Suitor. You can find it all in podcast form at sportscage.com. Back again tomorrow, filling in for Barney. We've got Arash Madani going to be joining us as well. We're going to kick off the first ever Kick Up Your Feet Friday on the Sports Cage. We'll tell you all about that coming up tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock. On behalf of our producer, Colson Schultz, have a great evening. Again, the Sports Cage on a Thursday is brought to you by Access Communications, trusted in rural Saskatchewan for internet, TV, and home security. Have a great night, Saskatchewan. This has been the Sports Cage on the home of local sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM.